Here we go. It says we'll have to see if we can be heard. Can we be seen? Can we be heard? Is everything okay? Mr. J Evil Scientist.
Hey, J Evil.
That's a Hanna-Barbera character.
Is it?
Yeah, actually.
K Munin
is here. Alpha Trion.
Hey, Alpha Trion.
Doesn't want to smell anybody.
Abandoned. Hey, Alpha. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Richard is here from Yonkers.
Rich and Kelly. Oh, yeah, is here.
As we get ready to jump off, we already did a live today. Well, I did a live today. You just kind of wandered around.
To him about the conversation Dave had about
I will have that conversation here in a little while.
Oh, yeah?
Let some people gather up in here.
Uh-huh.
Spreading the word of the forgotten Hanna-Barbera cartoon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And a Dell comic book, if I remember correctly.
Hey, John.
Dell comic book, right? In the 60s. John is here.
Retro style. Hey, retro
as we,
style.
Catch up. Munin says, did you have the misfortune of catching a second whiff of Duty Boy?
What are y'all talking about?
When I was in the live stream, I got sidelined because while I was filming through a retro toy swap this morning, somebody else was also filming, but they were kind of ripe. And I was like, ooh, wow, this guy. Yeah.
You said that out loud. Oh, my God.
He wasn't even near me. But, there are people. Yeah. And I was like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say anything. But Alpha Trion says, Power of the Force 2 muscle-bound monkeys. My collecting started with those. I have good memories with them.
Yay.
Oh, Power of the Force. You mean Planet of the Apes or Power of the Force?
Planet of the Apes 2. Oh, no, that's an F.
POTF, Power of the Force.
So it is Force.
Muscle-bound monkeys, he
says.
Hey,
Reynard.
Reynard is here.
On June 17th, Marvel Masterworks will be publishing the original 11-issue Silver Surfer
miniseries. Okay.
Another reprint.
Nostalgic is here.
Oh, yeah. He's at Stellar Fest tonight. He's going to be showing movies, and he's going to take a bunch of his 8mm movies and let the audience choose. But it starts like at 8 o'clock, right? From 8 to 2 in the morning. Yeah.
I'll be asleep.
And they're going to have popcorn and some other snacks.
Okay.
So that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Johnny, how are you?
No, Jenna, I did not buy Jenna Jigglers.
Oh,
Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an action figure we saw there, Jenna Jigglers, and she had bouncy boobies, whatever. And I'm like, yeah. Power of the Force 2, very muscular figures. Yeah, the green carded ones or the original black with like reflective covers, the first wave. Yeah, like muscle bound Luke Skywalker and stuff.
Yeah, so if you're in the I think it's in Smyrna, Marietta area, check Chance out. You can go watch movies tonight. Chance, put your address up. So if people are in the area, because we got some people that's in the area, they might want to come check you out and watch some of your old movies on 8mm.
Richard said he's getting back from the library book sale.
We did that in a long time.
And so far they've made $1,400.
Oh, he sold books at the book sale.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, every time I went, the library is the one selling the books.
Maybe he works for the library.
Then he wouldn't have made no $1,400.
The library made $1,400. Yeah. I don't know.
Somebody made $1,400. That's pretty good.
Of course, we did the retro toy swap this morning, and that was fun. Didn't do as much as normally. I didn't because last time I came home with stuff that it was like bonkers.
Oh, really?
But this time, this is where I got the Beverly Hillbillies jalopy.
Oh, you got that from there?
Yep, and the Structo tank and all of that stuff, and it's like, holy crap! At this time, it wasn't so much like that.
Oh.
Munin might have gotten Jenna Jiggler if the price was right.
Because it fits into his anime.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's
okay.
a volunteer
he volunteers with
friends
of the library. Okay. There you go. Johnny says you could have put Jenna next to Rambo. You guys.
Why?
What is wrong with you? But, I didn't pick up nearly as much as normally, as I normally would.
It didn't feel like that many vintage was there this time.
Yeah, and there was more vendors. There was
Yeah.
supposed to be 74, and it ended up being 70.
Okay.
There were 70 vendors there.
Okay.
There was a lot more modern stuff than
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
The one guy and we were talking about the Topper Crime Buster gun, the 60s Topper Crime Buster, because it's unplayed with in the box.
Oh.
And I'm like, ugh, do I really, and he maybe gave me a good offer, but I'm like, do I really want to spend that much today? And I ended up not doing it.
But that's why
I
you
ended
go
up
out
not doing
there.
it. Yeah, I know, but
But that guy only goes to that
only
show.
goes to the retro. So if
He doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, so if he doesn't sell it, he'll be back. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Munin says that there was definitely more modern than vintage there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt that way this time.
That's kind of rare because that one usually is more
Yeah.
vintage heavy than modern heavy, but it was like a flip flop today. Saw 3 collectors so far came to library spent. Wow.
350, another spent
Wow.
80, says Richard.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I would have liked to come and check out the record collection.
But I always, of course, I'm more interested in the vintage. I don't like seeing tons and tons of modern.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my preference. It all looks like the same thing over and over. So you go table to table to table. It's like, oh, Marvel Legends. Oh, look, Star Wars Black Series. Oh, look, WWE wrestlers. Oh, look, Marvel Legends again, and on and on. And Munin says, as the show progressed, you could see the numbers of pops increase. I think there may be more pops than human. Well, if you're not watching them, they're like tribbles. They start reproducing.
Actually, the pops wasn't that bad this time.
It was one guy had.
It was one guy.
But,
yeah, that's one guy. That's all he had, and then it was a few others sprinkled. But when we first started some years back, that's all. Well, I'm gonna say that's all you saw, but you saw more of it. So actually, today wasn't bad, and I'm noticing when we go to shows, you don't see a lot of pops anymore. You
it's
might
starting
see
to back off.
Yeah, you'll see a couple sprinkled here and there. But when we first started going to shows back in like 2000, 16, 17, I mean, you have an entire booth, like 5, 6, probably more booths just filled with Funko.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah. But that's backing off a lot. And I was actually surprised to see that one table that all they had was pops. I was actually pretty surprised by that. But I mean, they're there. People like them. I like them. I just don't buy them as much. I didn't even look at them. I went glance, but I didn't look because I knew I was going to buy nothing. So
yeah,
we would love to have you, but our record collection, the collector that spent $350 spent $38 on records and probably got all the good ones.
And Holly asked at last Comic-Con he had easily had 5 booths with nothing but pops. It did feel like it had died down some, however.
Yeah, they are. They're really backing off. Hey, Logic Blaster,
Logic
hello.
Blaster is here. Says he loves the channel. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, this is itchy. The tag's making me itchy.
Oh yeah, I had something on his channel I saw.
Oh yeah? What did you see on Holly?
I gotta no.
Now she doesn't know.
No, because I said if he came on, I was gonna mention it.
And we got these shirts there.
Oh yeah, from the toy fair.
Yeah, Toylanta. Brett was there, and we got shirts from him from the Toylanta, which of course is the show that we attended last week. We covered the Toylanta 3 days and did the live walkthrough, and then we did some filming and so on. Did a bunch of shorts, hung around with Pixel Dan for a little bit, so on and so forth. So yeah, Toylanta turned out to be a big show.
Yeah,
it was a pretty good show, and they're starting already to work on the upcoming Joe Lanta, which would probably be September-ish.
Yeah, because I'm thinking he's doing it every 6 months because it was 6 months ago. Joe Lanta was 6 months ago, so I'm guessing he's doing it every 6 months. Yeah.
Johnny wants to know if the shirts were free. Johnny.
No, you gotta buy these shirts. Love the color of the shirts. Yeah, David's is blue. Mine's purple because purple is my favorite color.
Oh, see.
Yeah.
But so we did get some shirts from Brett. Brett was there.
Yeah.
And of course, he is the one who runs the Toylanta and Jolanta shows. And we did, again, I didn't have like this insane haul of like crazy rare stuff like last time. But I did pick up a few things.
Yay!
I did pick up a few things. Well, first of all, I got these also from Brett. And these are the Toylanta exclusive. Oh, artist
hey,
Jesse Say What's here. These are the couple of Toylanta exclusives. And they are obviously remakes of the Azrak Hamway apes.
Okay.
That's why this guy's name is Dr. Azrak. And the Azrak Hamway apes, they look like, or 70s, right? Yeah, they look like
Planet of
the Apes, but they're not.
Oh.
They're actually, I think, based on that one Japanese movie that's like a ripoff of Planet of the Apes. If you've seen it, you probably saw it on Riff Tracks. But that's
with them little kids, and they go through that portal with the woman.
Yeah, they go through time.
Oh man,
and
that was hilarious.
And there's like aliens and all kinds of crap. It's crazy.
We had conventions like you guys have. I love the blue, and my wife loves purple.
Says Richard there. But so I got these from Brett today.
Yeah, Johnny, we saw the Mad magazines and I picked it up and I'm like, well, Johnny said he got a complete set.
Yes.
So I put it back down.
I think you have you got like everything, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey, Raccoon Eyes, how are you?
Raccoon Eyes has joined us there.
Has it? Yeah, Toylanta has exclusives. They come up with something almost every year. Yeah. That's where I got that Joseph Hazard Jeep because they did the crossover. No, sorry, that's a lie. That was Joe Fest because Joe Fest has an exclusive also. So yeah, actually, it's not a movie. It's actually called Time of the Apes.
Time of the Apes.
Oh, okay. So we're getting the things mixed up then.
Well,
it was a Japanese TV show called Time of the Apes.
I've only seen it as a film on Riff Tracks, but I did pick up a set of VR Troopers. And these are 90s figures from Kenner. This is like 1994. And this is a toy line that is still like really, really cheap from the 90s. It's really inexpensive and there's not a lot. And the guy had a bunch of pieces from this and he just wanted to sell it for one price. So I went ahead and grabbed it. This one is the worst one of the bunch. This one's in rough shape. So I would want to replace this one. The card's all wonky.
If you find a
yellow, I could probably find a lot,
Yeah, or you find the card, the clamshell that usually smashes it. It was horrendously bad.
Yeah.
Hey, junk man.
Yeah.
That is one epic beard.
Well, thank you.
And then we got 70s meet the 80s toys. What is your favorite Fisher Price Adventure People set? You got a couple of Fisher Price Adventure People sets.
I really like the space sets. I really like the space sets, like the Firestar Firestar 1 and the Alpha Probe and stuff like that.
So you're missing books 1 through 40 then, Johnny. So that's what he's saying. Okay. He's missing books 1
Well, they didn't
through
have
40.
stuff that early.
No. I don't think we have. Well, I don't know because I don't look at them. Because every time I see Mad Magazine, I say, well, Johnny got all. So then I walk away.
But again, this is one of those lines that is, it's still pretty inexpensive for these figures. It has not caught on.
The Time of the Apes was tremendously bad.
It's because there are several 90s properties that haven't jumped off yet as far as price or being expensive. Oh yeah, Junkman was saying.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully.
That must have been Saturday then, because Saturday the place was nuts.
My God, it was mobbed on Saturday, but it was really good that it was how many people came in such a success.
Yeah.
The Alpha Probe. Richard loves the Alpha
Yeah.
Probe.
And it comes with the 2 astronauts and stuff. Yeah, I always like the
Yeah.
space sets the best, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the Fisher Price Adventure People. They're great sets.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to see you at Joe
Lanta.
Lanta. That's coming up because like we said, we talked to
Mhm.
Brett and he's already planning it. And I'm guessing it might be in September
Yeah.
because that's when it was last year. Now, cracked, I do have
All
all
of
of
them.
them
Okay.
from issue 1 going forward. Okay. Hey, Pastor Rick, how are you?
How you doing today? Now this I picked up.
I don't know why.
You'll know why. You'll know why when you see this.
I'm messing with
Gotta-
David. Let me move out of the
Gotta
way.
back
so
up a little bit.
Yeah,
I gotta
'cause
back
he
up
need
a little
all
bit.
the
I
space.
need all the space I can get for my new friend.
Oh
My
boy.
new friend. Blow mold Easter bunny that I picked up. Look at that. And the thing about it though, look how clean. I mean, because usually these are, and no, the cord is missing now.
Why is
The
a
cord.
cord? What you do with that?
They light up. They're blow molds for the yard.
Oh, that lights up?
Yeah, it's what these are, the lawn ornament blow molds.
Yeah.
But this one, it doesn't look like it ever made it out in the yard. Look how clean that is. These are usually pretty yellowed out or the colors are faded. This one is nice and bright.
Yeah, it is.
And I'll grab a blow mold if I can find one cheap enough. These things are expensive. This stuff's expensive. You remember the owl? And I found that owl.
Okay. See you, junk man.
Okay.
Thank you for stopping by.
That I showed before that I found at a yard sale, and that thing goes for a small fortune. No, you're not gonna. You need to go get your own Jenna Jiggler.
I'm pretty sure somebody on eBay got it.
Richard says it looks very clean.
Yeah.
Usually these are faded. People actually put them out in the yards, and this one is really, really clean. So I'm like, oh wow, that's fantastic.
What was so funny, we went into the antique mall and they had a bigger one than that.
Yeah, they had like one like this, and then they had a larger one that they wanted a lot more for.
Yeah.
So and they weren't in this kind of shape.
Yeah.
They obviously have been used in the yard. The Halloween ones are great. And those, I know Halloween and Christmas, I think, are the most desirable. But and I do have the owl, which I've shown before. I found it at a yard sale.
I like that owl.
Yeah, I found it at a yard sale for like $5, and it has the light still. This one doesn't have the plug, but I mean, if I find a plug, I'll get them set up right.
Hey, T. Stewart, didn't you do a show, David? Talking about knowing when to stop.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
This isn't it though, because blow mold Easter bunny.
Hey, G.I. Joe Dave. Love that.
He loves the bunny. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This is my new best friend, and I will love him and squeeze him and call him George. The owl is smaller, and it has a hanging thing on it.
Yeah.
So that you can hang it like a lantern, and it glows really bright orange when you put the light
on.
Eric says David loves the animals. Yeah, I do. I absolutely love the animals. She did a lot better at the show than I did by far.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to get any. Well, I actually went for one thing because one of the vendors said he was going to bring something for me, and I was like, he's going to forget. But he didn't.
He didn't forget.
But first,
what do you have?
I was kind of disappointed. They didn't hardly have any record vendors.
Yeah, I noticed.
So I only got 2 records: REO Speedwagon and Duran. And that's it for.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. Usually, there's more vinyl records at that show.
And it's this one couple. They always get records, and I always get records from them because they're usually in really good shape. They usually have good records, and they're usually really cheap. And then I got this surprisingly.
Yeah, look how clean these are.
Original 1990 Ninja Turtles. And when I saw them, I passed them by because the price, I thought they were the remakes. because of the price.
He priced them like they were modern NECA figures.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, wait a
And
minute.
then, and I'm standing there looking at it, and it says, Playmates. And I'm like, well, Playmates remade them too.
Things.
And so then I told myself, well, look on the back and see the date. I ain't had my glasses, so that was going to be a waste of time. So I didn't look, and I just walked away because I'm like, okay, they're just the modern ones. And then David was like, somebody got original Ninja Turtles. I'm like, I didn't see original. Then he showed it to me. And I was like, no, those are modern. He was like, no, they're the original. And I'm like, for that price?
And yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, slow down.
Yeah, because not that I'm not into the original. I don't buy the original because the cost. But this guy had the original for the price of the modern. And I'm like, I just hurried up and got him before he realized.
I was showing because that's an original Child World price tag. Child World, a super toy store, and a whole lot more.
Yeah, Johnny said he bet you your crown will fit perfectly on that rabbit.
It might fit on the rabbit. I did not bring the crown to the show today. And people did ask.
Are you serious?
There was a couple of people who were like, where's the crown? Richard recognizes Daffy Duck with the Abominable Snowman.
Oh.
That's right. And his wife loves Duran Duran.
Yeah.
Eric says amazing choices. Love Speedwagon.
I like Oreo Speedwagon. I really do.
That's right. They're unpunched, Johnny.
Yep.
Those are unpunched. They're in great shape.
Those
two are in really great shape.
They are unpunched. So Ninja Turtles are in great shape. Yeah, and like I said, I passed them by originally because I thought they were modern because of the price. Hey, Brad Underwood, how are you? And then we got Legends. I forgot
your nickname.
Yes, my apologies. No problem.
And these are what?
Yeah, this is what I went for. One of the vendors had Ultra Force, so I saw him at Toylanta, and I told him about Ultra Force, and he said I got some in my shop, and I'm gonna be at Retroville. I'll bring them for you. And I said okay, and I thought he would forget because he busy, he got a shop to run. But he brought me 3. So we came up with a price because he knew I wasn't gonna pay no more than what I paid at the Toylanta.
And this is these are from Gloob, and these are from 1995. So they are technically vintage now.
Yeah.
And it's a line that like most 90s toys, it has not started to accelerate yet. There's a handful that have, like Exo Squad has gotten out of control, and there's a few of them that are bumping up there, but most of the most 90s toys haven't fully caught on yet, and this is one of them.
And I watched the cartoon, and the cartoon is actually not bad. It's like 12, 13 episodes.
Saturday morning standard. Yeah.
And I have the comics. I haven't read the comics yet, but it's one of those dollar bin comics that you see everywhere. So I thought the cartoon was good. I wish it had lasted longer and they had developed the characters a little more, but actually they did develop the characters pretty good.
It was just rushed. I mean, they plowed through it so fast, and it's like, slow down. You're doing like 4 seasons of plot in one.
And like the 3 of the characters, they really took some time to kind of develop and let you know, okay, this is how they get started. This is almost like their origin or their background and what's going on with them. And then there were 3 others that they didn't really get around to. And it felt like maybe if the show had continued, they would have got around to them a little more. So you can know, okay, well, who are these characters? Like this guy, let's see, this character, he's like a zombie. He's a dead guy. And if he touches something, he get like psychic powers, like kinetic powers.
Yeah, he gets impressions.
Yeah. And I wish they had went into more detail about him because he was an interesting character. If people are expecting it, then you have to start wearing. Oh no.
Johnny trying to encourage me to put the crown on.
No, he is that crown is limited to the show.
Oh
We're not
no.
going all over the. Yeah, that was a Malibu comic.
Malibu comic image. Yeah, Malibu.
Yeah,
Ultra Force was Malibu.
they are technically vintage in
2015. That's right. Because
That
they're
is
30
20
years old. They're 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are vintage.
So-
and I know people don't think about that. They don't realize it's like, oh God, that's vintage now. But I grew up in the, yeah, if it's 90s, it's vintage. I'm sorry. And speaking of which, and this is what they were asking me about, because I alluded to it while I was doing the live stream this morning from the Retro Toy Swap. We had a conversation.
Who, me and you?
You, me, and another person.
Oh.
And I'm not going to say who it was. Okay. This is a vendor at the Toylanta that we had a conversation with. Okay.
Hey, Mick.
Hey, Mick is here. We had a conversation with, and I don't want to say his name because, you know, I don't want to, if you don't want to talk about it, I don't want to pull him into it. You know what I mean? But he had something interesting to say about modern action figures that I thought was kind of important. And he made some interesting points because he talked about what he has to do with them. And that's what made it really fascinating. Okay. And he used the example because he said, hey, Nerd is here. He was like, these people with these modern action figures, it drives me crazy. They think it's going to be worth anything at all. And he's talking about NECAs. He's talking about Super 7. He's talking about Hasbro. He's talking about Mattel, all these Mattel Origins, Masters of the Universe, and all of these like G.I. Joe classifieds and, you know, whatever. And he was like, they're going nowhere. They're going absolutely nowhere. And he says, let me tell you something. He was like, those 90s Star Wars figures. There's Patrick is here.
Hey, Patrick.
The 90s Star Wars figures, the green and the red carded ones, like Phantom Menace and all of that.
And the blue one, the blue card.
And he says, they're everywhere. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're in the bins all over the place in the show. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And he says, I'll tell you something. In my shop, I get that stuff every week. And I mean cases. People come in with cases of them at least once a week. 40, 50, 80, 100, 200, 500 of them. Mint on the card. Perfect. Mint on the card. And he says, here's the thing. I'll pay 25 cents a piece for them. 25 cents a piece, and no matter how much, in bulk.
Hey, Matthew.
25 cents a piece. And I sit there and I open them all. He said, I bust open every one of them. Okay. And I put the figure in a little Ziploc bag and I put them in a big bin for $1. It's the only way I can sell them. And he was like, I've got the bin with the little Ziploc bag mint figures, because, I just took them off the card, and I have carded ones. They're also $1. Nobody buys them. He was like, I can sell them loose. I'll sell 50, 60 a week loose like that. But carded, 1, maybe 2 a week at $1. I can't give them away. Nobody, they made so much of that stuff. Nobody gives a damn about them. And this is the thing. It was like, this is, they're not the only ones doing this, because I'm seeing it already. And you saw it at the Retro today. Bags and bags of loose Legends figures, bags and bags of loose G.I. Joe classified, right? You see it in the video this morning. They're doing that because they can't get rid of them. They and the Star Wars Black Series. These dealers are opening the boxes and putting them in bags to sell them, because people will still buy it loose, but they won't buy them in the box, and they just throw the packaging away. It's insane. And he said, he acknowledged there are the anomalies. You do have figures that, the rare one here and there that will make a few bucks, but the bulk of it, man, nobody cares about that stuff. And he was like, and this has been going on since the 90s, and people still haven't caught on. The next new thing comes out and they want to buy 10 of them, and then they can't give them away. Mick says the only modern figures have any added value NECA Remco Universal Monsters 8-inch glow in the dark versions. And Munin said bags and bags of loose Marvel Star Wars are becoming commonplace. Yeah, because that's what these vendors are doing. And I hadn't thought about that.
Hey, Aaron.
Aaron is here. He says a lot of the Power of the Force 2 stuff had cool sculpts. They look good loose. But I hadn't thought about that until he said that. He does that. And Lynx is here until he admitted he does that. That hey, yeah, I peel open every damn one. I'll buy 400 from some guy because they come in the shop every week, and I'll sit there, pay a quarter a piece, sit there, peel every one open, and sell them for $1 loose. It's crazy. And I'm like, God, you don't think about, wow, it's that bad. It's that bad, but it's happening right now too with modern figures. Like I said at the show today, Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified. You saw tons of that stuff in bags. Marvel Legends, loose in bags. And those dealers, they must be doing the same thing because the boxed ones. I mean, how many did we see? You guys saw them at the show. $5, $10 in the box. They're not moving.
No,
they're not moving. It's overproduced and the market's oversaturated.
But you see that with those Star Trek figures, because we see the Star Trek figures all the time.
Playmates.
Yeah, the Playmates like Star Trek. The one guy today, he had a ton of Star Trek. And I'm like, man, if you want to start a Star Trek collection, come to this guy. You might can get a whole set.
It's three for $10. He had them.
Yeah.
And they weren't moving.
Yeah, and it's just so sad to see because it's like, the companies make it, they're targeting the audience, and those people don't want it, or they said, well, a new Star Wars movie or TV show has come out, so let's make some figures because this group likes Star Wars, but they don't like this Star Wars. They don't like Ahsoka and
and they keep all cranking out all the modern stuff, and nobody cares about that.
All the McFarlane superpowers aren't worth a Darth Vader double telescope.
Mick says. And Hall says he collects the Star Trek Playmates because you can get them on the card $5 for $5 anywhere. Yeah, and the thing is, though, I mean, you can get entire waves of the Star Trek. I think the only ones with any value were the 1701 series because they were limited run of 1,701 for each figure. But it's a big run because not even counting play sets and vehicles and other accessories, just figures, there's 420 of them that were made by Playmates.
And we saw a McFarlane Platinum Batmobile. And the person wanted, like $30 or something like that? I passed it by and I saw a bunch of superpower, because I was getting the superpower vehicles, and I was getting them when they were at Walmart on clearance. I saw a bunch that I don't have, and I was honestly tempted to get them, but then I was like, do you really want that? And I was like, no. And they were like $10.
Yeah.
And when they came out, there was like what, $25, $30 when they came out.
Yeah.
But
and we saw tons of Super 7 and NECA, the Super 7 Silverhawks, $25 a piece at the show. It's just Johnny says, why is that? Why do they want them loose? Probably army building.
Yeah, they army build, or they do dioramas. But some people just like seeing them on the shelf loose.
Noonan says the modern Star Wars is garbage.
People really like some people really like their figures loose, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want, that's your money. You worked for it. You bought it. You didn't ask to borrow none.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want mine like that. Now my 1/6 scale figures, I like them loose. And like to take them out and have them free. But the rest of them can stay in that box. There's no fun in buying a ready-made complete collection.
And Dorian said the Star Trek figures are not scale. They are, because they're 5 inches and they're chunky. So they really, that their beefiness, it doesn't look really too much like the classic characters.
Oh, yeah. Probably the only thing you see in conventions, Marvel and Star Wars, Hasbro doing those retro package sets.
It says Link.
Yeah, $30. Yeah. Ouch, that's embarrassing. Yeah, because I think that thing was like what, $70, $80,
I
that
forget. I
Batmobile.
forget. But yeah, the McFarlane stuff is dipping too. So I mean, and
Only buy what you like.
that's
That's
right,
right.
nerd. Buy what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Mick says, as a vintage toy collector, I'll be happy with loose figures, especially AHI,
What's
Super
AHI?
Universal Monster from the 70s,
What's
because those
AHI?
figures are so expensive in their package. You know,
Oh,
like Mego like. I think those are the ones you're talking about, right?
okay.
Aaron says they actually numbered some,
Yeah.
all of them. Almost all Playmates figures in the 90s had running serial numbers, consecutive serial numbers on their feet. Not just the Star Trek lines, but Sequest
Mm-hmm.
and the Skeleton Warriors. I think all the Playmates lines were doing that.
Mm.
And earlier numbers, and I was able to demonstrate that with the, I can show you actually with the Skeleton Warriors. If the number is under 10,000, I think it's 10,000, the paint scheme is different on the figure. And so the value of at that time, early numbered figures was up there. Playmates was selling big, aftermarket was selling really big in the 90s, but it just bottomed out. It got to where people didn't care. I didn't get the Chips figures, Johnny, because when I took a closer look at them, they were recarded. And I was like, nah.
Are you sure? It just looked like one of them, like the bubble was kind of loose. That's what it looked like to me. Hey, um, Flexstone. No, it's not going to bother me one bit. They can do what they want to do, but we basically get vintage stuff anyway. So it probably need to happen so that companies can calm it down a little bit, let people take a break.
See, here's what I'm talking about. This is your standard
Okay.
Skeleton Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Grimskull. It was a good show, actually.
It was.
You see here,
Surprisingly.
and it's hard to see it, but the number is printed on the foot. They all are like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But an early numbered version, oh, look at this. The colors have changed. The crystal is green instead of purple.
Mm-hmm.
The dog has a red collar instead of a flesh colored one. There's subtle changes that have taken place here that differentiate the two figures. Let me see what else. If you notice on the earlier version, the chain around his neck is colored in, and it's not on the higher numbered figure. They made little paint changes, and at the human figures, I don't remember if they did it with the skeletons or not. Probably, I think it's a gem color change, but there's more prominent changes in the color schemes of the actual action figures, and people were wise to that. So if it had a number that was low, like, oh, God forbid you found one with a number under 100, you could get big money for it. You could sell it $50, $60, $70 aftermarket in the 90s.
Oh.
Now you can't get $5 for it.
Azrak Hamway International. Yeah. That's produced lots of. Okay, yeah. I've heard of Hamway.
Like
okay.
that. That's Azrak Hamway.
Okay.
My Azrak Hamway Batmobile. Yeah, they made figures that look Mego like, but they're hollow practically, like Tomland, and they're really flimsily built. They still hold up better than modern Mego though.
Link feels sad. DC Comics doing the retro superpower figures, and they are still peg warmers. Walmart is trying to mark them down. I mean, the only good thing is that they're getting marked down, and some people can actually afford them now. But outside of that, it's like whatever. Skeleton Warriors are quite detailed for the time they were released, underappreciated line.
And they were priced oddly too, because if you find them with old price tags, and I remember this from back in the day, the skeleton figures were priced $1 more than the human figures every time. They had a different price scale for the human and the skeleton figures.
I want to collect the Mego.
Mick wants to know about Mego Planet of the Apes.
I want to collect that.
I had the whole wave.
Oh boy.
Yeah, once upon a time, the collection that was stolen. I had the entire Mego Planet of the Apes boxed and carded. because it was I had a few loose pieces, but everything I had the whole wave boxed and carded.
I
And
would like to collect it.
Nowadays, it's like I wouldn't be able to afford to do it.
No, you got to win the lottery. It's too expensive, but I would like to collect it.
No, Johnny, he wasn't trying to hide it. That's why they were $50.
I thought that one of the cards, it looked like the bubble was a little bit loose. I didn't think
it was off. It was off. Yeah, it was off the line.
Oh.
It had been glued back on. Matt wants to know if tariffs are going to hurt the modern toy hobby. I doubt it.
Who knows? You got to wait and see.
Yeah.
And not worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Timeland figures are fetching high prices.
Yeah, I remember in the 90s you couldn't get $20 for a Timeland figure. Now look at them. Even loose, they're crazy expensive.
Yeah.
They are crazy expensive now. And I don't have any I used to have I didn't have them carded. I had a loose set of the Timeland monsters.
Mm-hmm.
A loose set of Timeland monsters. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately. But that, I was buying that stuff back in the 90s when it cost nothing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate how that worked out, but what are you going to do?
Nothing.
Munin says Skeleton Warrior figures had more detail than the humans. That may be why they were $1 extra. I think if I was going to guess, I would say it's because of the chromatic paint. Because they have chrome armor, gold-colored chrome armor on the skeletons. And some of them are pretty big, like the arachnid guy with the 6 arms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big figure, So, but they were notably $1 more expensive than human figures.
I felt bad for Grimskull, especially when he had his little girlfriend that the brother thought was in love with him. He thought the girl was in love with him, but she really liked Grimskull, and Grimskull had liked her too.
Yeah,
and they kind of kept that a secret. But that was a good show with some complex plots.
Yes, actually.
Are you gonna try to get the Mego Atlas comic figures?
Or Devilina says Johnny. I'm curious about it, but I didn't know if I wanted to pull the trigger on it. I'm trying to back up from modern stuff. You know what I mean? I'm trying to stay back from the modern stuff, and I don't know if I wanted to get pulled down that way.
Yeah.
Especially Vigo's cranked out a lot of stuff very quickly. They've produced more stuff. I can make the same argument about a lot of them. Like I've said that about the G.I. Joe classifieds. They've produced more stuff in 3 years than Hasbro made in 10 years when the Raw line was originally running. Same thing can be said for Mego. They've cranked out more stuff recently than they had back in the 70s.
Oh, Lynx want the bug ship of the Blue Beetle from the Super.
Oh, yeah. The McFarlane one. Mick said all the second wave and 9-inch Remco monsters are crazy prices and rising.
Really?
Yeah. The stuff's getting up there. Munin said chrome paint on the armor would certainly make it more costly to produce.
Are you serious?
I'm guessing. That was my guess because they all have like this chromatic paint.
Yeah.
Grab one if some of you have never seen it. Let me see here. See, and this is a good one. This is what I'm talking about. Because this is a cool figure. He didn't speak on the show. But you see he's got the 6 arms there. And you can see the chromatic paint on all of his wrist gauntlets and everything.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting looking figure.
Hey, Robert.
Oh, Robert online is here.
Just got here, went to Subway real far away.
So what did we get? Now you ask us. Oh, and thank you again,
yes,
Robert.
Robert sent us
a care package that we received this week that we did a video on. We had put that video up earlier in the week.
So if you haven't seen it, please go back.
He sent us a bunch of crazy stuff.
Whoa,
that we really appreciate.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. His eyes too, right? Yeah, their eyes also, you see. So they did a bang up job on the sculpts. Playmates was on top of their game in the 90s. They made some great stuff. This line I really like, the Earthworm Jim, and then of course the Exo Squad, which is probably one of the best toy lines they ever did was the Exo Squad. Fantastic play value on Exo Squad.
Johnny says that he saw a 2-person signed Devilina on eBay for $400. The seller didn't even know who the second signature was, and it was uncertified. So Johnny called him on it, and the guy got upset.
Who signed it?
But he don't know.
They also have a Bible signed by Jesus and Moses. But like, who signed this?
Yeah.
I don't know who signed
Yeah,
it.
but I want $400.
I want $400
You
for it.
could have signed it, or your wife or cousin
Signed
or
by
somebody.
Peter Cottontail.
Yeah.
This is my new rabbit again.
Oh my God.
I'm fascinated with this.
Why?
This is nuts because it's so clean.
Pour some water in it.
No, why would I pour water in it? It's got a hole in the bottom. He'll just pee it all out. That's a drainage hole actually for this, in case water got into it. But yeah, he just needs the light set up. But he was so cheap, and the woman also. This is the same woman I got this from, who had the Fisher Price Little People that she was counting out, but then she ended up not selling them because she realized she left stuff behind, and she wants to sell them in complete lots, in complete sets.
But that's cool.
So she's gonna bring them back at the next retro toy swap because she felt like she did good today, and she's gonna sell them then. And I'm like, well, hell, I mean, if she's got a complete or near complete Fisher Price Castle set, I'm down for that.
Until she tell you that price.
Well, we'll see, because this was incredible.
Oh yeah, collects Simpsons lines from Playmates.
They made a lot though, didn't they? Like 150 figures.
Oh, that many?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I want that Jesus signed Bible to be certified by CGC with a gold label.
They're not gonna do it. It's too thick to fit in the case. Robert wants to send he wants to send us a 6-scale figure. Robert, you're too generous.
I'll see if I can make it happen. Robert, I think the McFarlane Batcave might match the Mezco set.
Robert liked the Missing in Action Chuck Norris figure.
What's that?
We showed it on the roundup.
Oh, we did?
The Chuck Norris.
Oh, okay.
With him in the combat uniform. I don't know if you ever saw Missing in Action.
No.
Yeah, I think there were 4 films, right?
I think he would have liked the John Wayne. The modern autograph hustle is criminal.
Aaron. Yeah, it is crazy.
Anybody can sign that stuff, and as long as there's some scribble on there, they want to jack the price up on you.
And I've talked about this a lot on other live streams.
There was an amazing Spider-Man
signed by Peter Parker, says Mick. Yeah, I've talked about this a lot on other live streams. The thing is that when I came from the old school of conventions, when I used to work with New England Comics, and I used to attend and work with Great Eastern Conventions, and then they had the big sci-fi shows in Boston and stuff like that, and autographs were, Ollie is here. Do we ever curate the collection and let some pieces go or keep adding? She don't want to give up nothing.
I don't give up nothing. I just add. Only way I'll give up something is if it's a duplicate. But if it's not a duplicate.
Yeah. If you upgrade the condition.
Yeah, upgrade the condition, which I rarely do. If I got it, I got it.
Anyway, autographs were free for attending the show, and big names too. Great Eastern Conventions hosting Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and people like this. Or if you went to the sci-fi show, it was like $5, maybe $10 if it was a big star. And now I'm coming to shows or hearing about other shows where autograph prices are freaking insane. They make no sense. People charging $100, $500, $700, $3,000 for certain autographs. Just to get the autograph. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, because they feel like everybody's getting autographs so they can turn around and flip them. And so they want a piece of that. And it's like, well, you're already prostituting yourself selling your autograph in the first place. What the hell do you care what the person does with it if you sold it?
Nerd ain't ever buying autographs. I don't purposely buy them. If I get a lot of something and something's autographed, okay, but I'm not going to go out and say, okay, I'm going to buy a signed copy of this, or I have a comic and the artist or the writer is at a show, I'm going to take it to get that. No, and let it stay the way it is. If they wanted to sign it, they should have
I
signed it when they
rarely,
finished it.
I used to be more into it because I was going to those shows. I had a big autograph collection. I don't anymore. I had a bunch of wrestling ones left over. I gave a bunch of them to her.
Yeah,
She's got a ton of the wrestling,
yeah, that's signed.
Kane and
Much. No, I'm about to say much. Undertaker.
yeah, Undertaker. Well, the Undertaker's the big one. It's
Yeah,
over here, right?
yeah, somewhere.
That's the big one. Because that one's certified. But I had done and I had matted and framed this for her. That's sitting right here.
Mhm.
Undertaker and Paul Bear signatures on there. And the real Undertaker autograph, because he won't sign it like this anymore. He does a U and a T with an arrow now. He won't do this anymore. So, I'm not that big on it anymore. I rarely bother.
Oh, it was 3 missing in action films.
Oh, it was 3? I thought it was 4.
Mm.
Like I got Gil Gerard's autograph on my Buck Rogers figure because I figured why not? I was talking to him at a show. Things like that. I'm not running around breaking my neck for autographs anymore. Mick wants Grand Moff Tarkin to sign his Kenner figure, I Can Only Dream. Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. He's gone.
I don't let nothing go either. Everything must stay because I like it.
Exactly. Says
Exactly.
Nana. That's right.
That's
why you got it in the first place.
Exactly.
And Munin
buy
says
stuff to
autograph
give
prices
away
are
or
crazy.
Sell and all that
Autograph
mess.
prices are insane, and because they've gotten so greedy with it because they assume you're turning around to sell it, but that's driving that market up higher aftermarket, and it's going to get to a point where that balloon's going to bust, and then the autograph values are going to tank. Robert, because I mean, and again, how much modern stuff is going out there? I saw Lou Ferrigno doing autographs at the sci-fi shows back in the early 90s. He's been doing it for decades. How many Lou Ferrigno autographs do you think are out there? How many Stan Lee autographs? He started in the 70s. Is it really rare? It's not like you're getting an autograph of Houdini. There's probably 10 things signed by Houdini. Good luck.
But now Johnny brings up a good point.
Me.
Okay, so Johnny is a collector of autographs, and he got a big autograph collection of Back to the Future. My thing is, if you got one, do you need everything signed? Like, you got 5 figures of Michael J. Fox. Do you need all 5 signed, or is it just enough to have a representative? Okay, this is my best figure. This is the one I like the most. This is a poster, the VCR tape, whatever. Long as you got one, I think that's good.
You don't need it all signed for what he charges.
I don't know. I mean, like, okay, if you got, like, I know you got a picture of something and it got a lot of the cast, so you got every cast member. But then if you got a figure of each individual cast, do you need to get every figure if you already got that big picture signed? You know what I mean? It's like, how many? And I guess that goes back to when you buy action figures, how many He-Mans, how many Leias, how many whatever do you actually need? How many are each? But I don't know. I guess it's all right. I'm not gonna pay a dime for an autograph.
Marvelous cards. Marvelous. He says he wants to know if anyone there in here collects non-sports cards, that he likes them because they don't take up a lot of space. I used to have big collections of that stuff. I don't have too much anymore. Yeah, we have a little bit.
Hey, Zom.
And Zom is here. He doesn't want autographs. And T. Stewart says Mike Tyson charges $800.
Oh, Mike Tyson. I don't know why I saw Mr. T.
And no signing photos, and that doesn't make sense because that's what you would want.
What are you going to sign then?
Who knows?
I mean, some the cape or a boxer or
boxer gloves, maybe.
Yeah, gloves. Do they even have action figures of him? Maybe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had shown it earlier. Because we were there this morning, obviously. I got the and these because I got these from Brett because Brett was there from Toylanta, and these are the remakes of the Azrak Hamway apes that were Toylanta exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the VR Troopers. I got a set of 6 of the VR Troopers real cheap for one price, because these are still, 90s figures that are still really, really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a set of those. And then I got my new best friend in the world.
Oh my God.
That
Mark Hamill got into selling autographs for crazy prices.
Peter Cottontail here. It's my Peter Cottontail hopping down the bunny trail, the blow mold, because this is one of the cleanest examples I've ever seen of a blow mold Easter bunny, and I couldn't resist it.
Okay.
She did far better than I did.
Link barely gets autographs.
She found some crazy stuff.
Hold on, I'll show it. I'm gonna try and catch up a little bit. Only autograph I would love is people I grew up with: Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Patrick Stewart,
William Shatner. They charge you now. Back in the day, it was free, of course. And the Hills would love to see the wrestling collection that Undertaker autograph.
Awesome. That's
yes.
Devontae Swing.
They were at the show this morning.
And Stacy, they had their 3-year anniversary. What?
Well, they did.
They did. Well, you can't see that. I got a big wrestling collection.
It's mostly packed up.
And not mostly. No, I got a couple of figures on the wall.
Except for the Macho Man stuff, because that's all on the shelf in the hallway.
Yeah.
The Macho Man Randy Savage, because she's got all 3 Slim Jim displays, and a few other odds and ends are up there.
Yeah. But all of the figures, and I have some vintage figures, and I got a bunch of modern wrestler. Well, okay, wait now. Let's back up. Not modern wrestlers, modern figures of classic wrestlers.
Yes.
Okay.
You gotta polish that.
You gotta make sure that's clear.
And Ollie said conventions were raw and better back in the day before they went mainstream. A lot of stuff everywhere now, it loses the appeal. That's true.
I saw a video and they were talking about how conventions are franchises now. So it's not like standalone, like some still are, but you got those big ones like WizardCon, San Diego, New York, that big one here in Atlanta. Those are all one
company runs those,
that runs the whole thing. So it's like a franchise now. It's not like Joe Fest or Toylanta, which is like one promoter does that. And that's all they do. They don't do like a ton. So I think that's kind of weird, because the video made some good points how it doesn't feel organic anymore and all personal. It's just a pop culture fest.
Yes. And that's what ruined it, because that's not what it started out as. And I've talked about it before. There was a well-known comic vendor in the industry called Bud Plant.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the originals from San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been to every single one up until a couple of years ago. He had been to 48 consecutive San Diego Comic-Cons. He had been to every single one. And he was like, I wanted to retire it at 50. I can't do it, because I can't sit there and pay $5,000 to $6,000 for a table. A table.
You better sell $5,000 to $6,000 that weekend
and not even make half my money back, because comic collectors aren't coming to SDCC anymore. It's wall-to-wall cosplayers who want to sit in and watch the stars talk about the upcoming films. And he was like, I can't do it. I can't do 2 more years of this.
Thank you, Pastor
Patrick.
Rick.
Something for the kiddie pool. Thank you so much. We're currently taking care of 15 felines we are caring for. And Marvelous says, love the show. Always watch the other YouTube channel as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard says, speaking of Mike Tyson, do you remember the Mike Tyson Mysteries?
No.
I never saw it. It's an animated show.
Really?
And it's supposed to be a parody of Johnny Quest.
Really?
With Mike Tyson voicing himself.
Really?
Yeah, fascinating. I wanted to see it. I never seen it. It's something like Venture Brothers ish, right? Because it's a parody.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron
Mm.
used to have stacks of white boxes of non-sport cards. The last thing I collected was Star Wars CCG.
We saw a lot of Pokemon cards out there. I don't know. I guess Magic the Gathering. It saw a lot of cards that were
Mhm.
non-sports cards.
Yes.
I don't look at them because I'm not into them, but I saw a lot out there today. Saw a lot of those.
Robert wanted to know how the show was. Did you get anything? Robert, we've been showing it.
Robert just messing around. Used to be Wizard World. Now, yeah, Fan Expo
Yeah.
is the one that took over all of a lot of the major comic shows, conventions, or toy shows, or whatever, and they balled it into one and call it like Fan Expo, which is a pop culture fest, pop culture con, where everything is just kind of in there.
Yeah.
So it's not like tailored anymore.
And it's and I want to answer that question real quick in a moment here. But they kind of look at nerd so-called culture as like some kind of hodgepodge. They look at it as like a stew. Let's just throw everything in there, and some of that stuff doesn't mix.
Yeah,
it doesn't mix. If I go there for comics, that's what I want. I don't want to see the other stuff. So if you show up to these shows, and a great example is actually that PowerCon, the Power Rangers one. Toys and comics. There were no toy or comic vendors there.
There was a pop vendor.
Yeah, that
and
doesn't count.
All he had was Power Rangers
pops.
And that was perfect because no, I'm serious. Because everything he didn't bring any other comics. I mean, pops.
Toys, yeah.
But Power Rangers.
Yeah. It was an autograph session and cosplay is what it was, but they didn't advertise it as such. So I go there and I'm looking for toys and comics, and it's like, what the hell is this? And it wasn't cheap either.
No,
it wasn't cheap either.
It was awful.
It was very disappointing, and there were a lot of people who were pissed off. And that most of the vendors that were there was like flea market stuff. You know, they were selling baubles and bangles and stuff that they made at home.
Yeah, and the bottle openers.
Yeah, and it's
like that.
What is this? Yeah. They lump everything together and they think that oh it'll be all right because it's nerd culture. No, it's not all right.
Yeah.
Munin wanted to know about Toylanta. Sarge looked miserable, almost like meeting him would not have been pleasant. No, the thing with Sergeant Slaughter, he's in pain. He's not so it's hard for him. But when you talk to him, he's very friendly. He really is, and he enjoys communicating with people at the shows. He loves it, especially I think more so the G.I. Joe connection than the wrestling. Yeah. I think he loves that even more. And
even though he's in pain, if you come and ask for a picture and you ask him to put you in a chokehold, he's going to do all of
Cobra it. Cobra clutch, he'll do it.
Yeah, he do it, and he'll take a picture, and he gets into character, but he's
you can tell he's hurting. He's hurting. That's what it is. So I'd be miserable too if I was sitting there.
You sitting there in that little wheelchair like thing, and your back hurt. He probably need a more comfortable chair, but then he ain't want to get up.
But I mean, because I think he wants to go to those. So you can tell because there are people, they come to those shows and they don't need to be there. They are miserable. They are miserable. But some people, they actually do enjoy it. They really do.
He was at Subway.
Oh yeah. Munin, the vendor at the show earlier, had no idea how to display cards for sale. They were practically blowing them away in the wind. They did
blow away.
I picked some up off the ground for him. That was after I was done filming them. They were all across the parking lot. Wow.
Wow, $50.
$50. Edmonton once a year, like $50.
But those nuts. Big ones do cost that much because we didn't go to the big one in Chicago when we were there because it was like $75 a day. And I was like, no, we're not driving all the way to downtown Chicago and pay $30 for parking and then another $75 to get in.
Yeah, and then come back and your windows are broken.
Yeah,
They
whatever.
it's like,
So,
no. And then you get that buyer's remorse because you end up like impulse purchasing things because you're like, damn it, I'm getting something because I spent all this damn money in gas and lunch
yeah, to get
and
here.
whatever. And
Yeah.
and then you buy something and you have buyer's remorse later on because you're like, I shouldn't have got that shit.
And I've done that. I think we've both done that. When we first started going to shows, we would go and not want anything, saw absolutely nothing. But because we drove,
Yeah.
had to get something. Yeah, I think it is a culture con.
Culture
It's
con,
not a
says Johnny.
comic or toy show anymore. Not a Comic Con or toy show anymore. It's a culture. The only thing that holds true is the record show, because that's all you get. Records, tapes, CDs.
And the one guy that has the pop table.
Well, and yeah, he got the pop table, but you can say that it's
At
all
least
music. It's
music
all
related.
music related. And then they have
You
the
spot
t-shirts.
him every time.
Yeah.
You spot him every time.
And then they have t-shirts, but
Yeah.
it's all music related.
Yes.
And then this other person have like magazines, like music magazines. But for the most of it, 99%, 98% is nothing but records, tapes, and CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a couple of times they had somebody selling a record player, but that
and it's
fits.
bustling there, and you see younger people.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Some of the it's like, wow, there's actually people that look like they're 20 years old in here buying vinyl. That's fantastic. Action
Hey,
Figure Joe's is here.
He got some new 3D stuff and doing some different things on his channel. So go over there
And Sylvian,
Action Joe Fig, and check out
here.
what the new stuff that he's doing on his channel and the 3D stuff that he's doing.
And then there's Machine Man, and he said he's huge with GI Joe fans. Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter, because he jumped from. I mean, this is not only a wrestler, but this is a real life person that became associated with the cartoon show that a lot of us found endearing when we were young.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wow, now he's like a real life icon. People even remember that he wrestled. It's like, God, Sergeant Slaughter from he kicked Serpentor's butt.
I don't remember him. Okay, I know he was a wrestler, but I wasn't watching wrestling, or I don't remember him wrestling. I remember him from G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember him from. But I do know that he was a wrestler.
And McMahon gave him a hard time for that. Robert says you can't get anyone better than Slaughter. He really holds up the franchise. Too bad he didn't work for the Fridge only got as far as the commercial.
Hey, Brick something.
Who knows who this is? Right behind her head. Who knows what that is? I'll show that to you in a minute if you want to see it. That's really crazy.
Yeah, you run out of, especially if you start getting in the statues, you're going to run out of room really fast.
Marvelous says that. And it's like, yeah, that's why a lot of those statue collectors, the thing is with them though, they rotate a lot. Statue collectors and Hot Toys collectors, because when the next new shiny thing comes along, suddenly the old one's just not good enough and they sell it, and usually for less than they paid for it. There's a lot of rotation in those markets. That's how she was able to get the Sideshow Universal Monsters so cheap. Yeah, because I mean they're like around $50 a piece.
Yeah, and some of them, some of the characters you can get even cheaper than that. Yeah. But I know, like, I have a bunch of statues and I want to rotate them out, but boy, to pull the boxes out and figure out where they go, and they never go back in that box. Yeah, I mean you can make it work, but. I like the ones I got. I'm not going to mess with it. I would like to switch them out, but then I think about it like, God, where is that box? I got to pull it out and take it down and be ultra careful. David has to do it because I don't touch anything. So he does all of that stuff for me, puts it together and put it where I want it to be. I don't touch nothing.
Johnny says he's done that too, driving 2 hours, and then you just got to get something, and you get that buyer's remorse. We did a whole video on it once upon a time. Hey, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is here. Mm-hmm. Robert, only trading cards he likes is Mars Attacks and Aliens and Predator. Mm-hmm. Marvelous says non-sports cars, they have relic cards with actual pieces of costumes. One of the movie films. Really? So, yeah, they do that now. They clip things out.
Now I saw somebody at the show today. They had, hey Squiggly Diddly.
Squiddly wants to know if I picked up the Snailians. No, they were way too expensive.
Really?
I mean, Snailians, you don't see them too often, but that guy was nuts. The price he wanted on those.
Somebody had some Elvis cards today, and I had thought about getting those. But then I'm like, I don't get into that. What am I going to do with it? Just sit it down on the table? Because I'm not. No, that's not Urkel, but he does have the Urkel. Don't you have the Urkel?
I don't have Urkel.
Oh, you don't.
I don't have Urkel.
I love your Shogun Warrior set back there.
And I've got a video about the Godzillas that'll be going up next week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Action was too old when Iraq came out and don't know much about it. I made just a couple of figures to my collection to have. Grew up with Adventure Team, hand-me-downs from my older brothers on 60s Joes. Those are great, though.
Yeah.
Those are great.
A couple of shelves today.
Yeah.
It always
takes
way longer than I think. It takes a long time, but I actually enjoy doing it and moving things around and pulling this down and putting that up. And that's why I always say I'm not going to get anything new.
Yeah.
And then I get something new. And then I'm like, okay, where am I going to put this? And then I try to work it in there somehow without totally removing something. Because I never want to totally remove something.
Mm-hmm. Marvelous wants to know if we grade anything. No, we don't grade. I have graded comics before, just really to preserve them. But as far as grading toys, I'm not feeling that.
I'm not gonna buy a graded toy either, because then $5 toys become $300.
They crazy. I mean, there's stuff where I know, okay, this is like a $400 or $500 figure, but you got it graded. And now you want $2,800 for it? But yeah, the three, I'm gonna do a clinic explaining the differences between the three Mattel Shogun Godzillas, because they are all different. They are, all three of them are different.
Link said, "What's going next? What's the next generation conventions for Gen Alpha and Gen Beta? It's going to be people on YouTube." Or because I don't think they're going to be going to conventions. Probably I think it's going to kind of die out with us. Okay.
I had done one on the Mazinger, because I did the differences between the three American Mazingers, and I also told you how to identify a Canadian one and an original Popey one in that video. But so I'm going to do the same thing with the Godzillas. And I will also explain about Jumbosaurus, which is what these are copied from. Sort of.
So that's what they're doing. Gilgamesh was at Target Tuesday morning, right when they were setting up the NECA Haulathon display. He was able to get everything from he wanted for week 1.
Okay.
So I guess every week they're putting up something new. That's expensive. The 1-foot Godzilla figure I got was worth it.
It says Legends.
Man, that sounds very expensive, Gilgamesh.
Action Figure says he has over 200 Adventure Team and original shows.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's nice.
Johnny wants to get the Fleischer Superman figure box set.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
5 points ones, he means.
Yeah. They got their cell phones and their smartwatches. That's about it.
You can go to like a cell phone convention. There must be like 8,000 models of them now.
They can't even say, well, I collect video games, because it's all streamed online. At least we can say, okay, I collect video games, and you got the actual console and the cartridges, and you can display your cartridges and you can display your consoles. But the people today,
if you're not holding it, it ain't yours.
They go buy a subscription, or you go buy it and download it online. And then what do you do when your internet, when your computer's full and you paid for that? Now you got to delete it? That's a waste of money right there. Richard originally had Shogun Warrior Godzilla. Then I got burnt up in a fire and found the Godzilla Shogun Warrior in a Goodwill. And I paid $8 for it.
Munin says he could spot some of the differences of the Gujira Godzilla figures from here. Body, head, and shape, mouth size, color are only 4. No, well, the molds aren't that different. The molds are very similar.
I'm not getting any 750.
No, autographs. They're still going on about here.
Yeah, every week there's going to be new NECA figs this month. I actually hate that. Why did they do one wave a month or so? Give people time.
No, they gotta cram those waves together.
Hey Tommy, how you doing? Here. I'm a hold on, and David's gonna show y'all what was in that box.
This is what that was back there.
I thought you showed that already. That's an ugly doll.
You know what that is, right?
It says it on the box.
Yeah, it says it on the box. There's actually 4 dolls in this set, and this is a big box. This box is like 24 inches tall. It's a big box.
So that's a 20-inch doll?
Yeah, he's about 20 inches.
Oh.
And that's supposed to be Fat Albert. It is not. It does not look like Fat Albert. Really.
He ain't big enough to be.
If we're being honest, it does not look like Fat Albert. This was made by Remco in 1985, right about probably when this was going off the air, because I think it was on for like 12 consecutive years on Saturday morning cartoons, which is incredible, because most Saturday morning cartoons only got a single season. Rarely did they get 2. This was on for 12 years. Smurfs was on for a long time too. There's 4 dolls in the set. So you got Fat Albert. Yeah, Fat Albert lost some weight, Tommy. So you got Fat Albert. You got Little Bill, which is the Bill Cosby character. And Steve is here. He said, do you know if anyone ever made a toy like in the movie Jimmy Stewart described in the movie Harvey? I don't know if anyone ever made a Harvey. I don't think so. So they made Little Bill, which is, of course, Bill Cosby as himself as a Fat Albert character from the original cartoon. And then they made 2 characters. I don't know who the hell they are, because they made Greg and Hank. And they're pictured down here. See, here you got Fat Albert, Little Bill, right? And then here's Greg and here's Hank. And I'm like, well, who the hell are they? But they have dolls. They made dolls of both of these kids. I'm like, who the hell's... And
then this Fat Albert looked like he about 8 years old.
Yeah, he looked like little... See? I'm like, why did you make Fat Albert look like this? I guess... maybe they were going to take the show in a different direction and didn't do it, because that's filmation.
Yeah. I don't know. Do it's your filmation. Homework.
And there's a little booklet in here. See?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little booklet in here attached on the inside. And it's like little tips, like brushing your teeth and, picking up your toys and crap like that. But this is just not something you see every day. It's not something you see every day. And, I get a lot of Fat Albert stuff. The Chem Toy figures and the Tedro figures from 1982 or 83?
Yeah, he on the back brushing his teeth.
Yeah, he's brushing his teeth.
You gotta love toys. Yeah, they just...
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's the youngest I ever seen Fat Albert. Imagine if they did Mr. T as a little kid. Yeah, with a mohawk and a bunch of gold chains.
Yeah, I know. And hanging on the chain could be like a pacifier.
And then he's just not as muscular.
No, he would still be a muscular baby.
Oh.
Link says, little Fat Albert, love eating food.
Yeah.
Well, it's just such a bizarre toy. It's so weird.
It does look kind of creepy, though. It looks like
it is.
It was a movie. I can't remember what movie it was. Oh, I know what movie it was. It was called Pin, and it had the doll in the window. But there was some other movies and books where they put the doll in the window and shine the light on them. So when you pass by, that looked like something you would do because that dog looks creepy. Were they
'Cause-
planning on a Fat Albert babies like Muffet? That's what that looks like.
That's what they were going to do. Is Filmation was going to take it a different direction, but then they canceled it because when Chemtoy did it in 1970, yeah, the 70s Chemtoy.
Yeah, see now that's Fat Albert.
That looks like Fat Albert. I'm trying to get the glare off of the packaging. Yeah. And that's what 1970. God, I can't think. Forget what year, 71 or 72.
1971 or 72, he says.
And then the Tedros, which were done in 82.
You seen that Fat Albert movie? Oh, the one that came out in the 2000s with that Keenan and Kel or whatever.
I saw it.
Yeah, we saw it when we were working at the day center. Didn't they have 2 parts to that?
I don't know. I don't think they made a part 2.
Oh, yeah, we did.
They don't need a part 2.
We did see that.
It was fine right where it was. But yeah, it wasn't that great. Didn't translate well.
Fat Albert babies.
Well, they did Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
They love making freaking babies out of everything.
Because they think they're gonna kind of research, just like when they make a TV show and they throw a baby in there to spark interest or a kid. And I never could see how that's supposed to spark interest in the show.
Like Cousin Oliver on the Brady Bunch. It's like no one asked.
I don't remember Cousin
Nobody
Oliver.
asked for Cousin Oliver.
But
send that kid back where he came from. Like
on Alf, when the mama had the baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a last season ditch effort to try to throw it in a different direction. And Johnny wants to know if we have different strokes on DVD. No.
That's nothing I want to see again.
Yeah, he was on that show. He was also on Silver Spoons. He played a bodyguard in one episode, and he got around for a minute until he got hooked up with the A-Team, and that really propelled his career. But what are you going to do? Richard said Master of the Universe babies. How about Thundercats babies? Thunder Kittens. Yeah. Well, they did turn into Thunder Kittens in one episode.
Yeah, when they went into that fountain of youth.
Yeah,
then they had to go back in there.
Turned into Thunder Babies.
Yeah, but I hate when shows do that because you can tell that they're losing all of their creative abilities when they add a kid or that neighbor or something like that. They just go, and it's like, okay, we're losing ideas. We don't know what to do next. Right? Thunder Kittens might actually work.
Thunder Kittens, yeah, whatever. But I never got into Muppet Babies. I never cared for that. I couldn't watch that show.
What's RSD?
RSD?
Yes.
Dat one wants to know.
Yeah.
What's RSD?
Yeah, tell us what RSD means, and then we can tell you if we're excited. Because we can't say we're excited if we don't know what it means.
Robert wants to know if we saw the fight between Reacher and Paulie.
Oh my God. That fight was great. I loved it. Now that episode is what the whole show should have been about. That was a better episode. I really liked that. And then the guy at work told me, because he was like, did you see it yet? And I was like, no, because we talk about TV shows and we both watch Reacher. And he was like, all I gotta say is a 20-minute fight scene. And I was like, is it Paulie and Reacher? And he was like, yeah. Because I actually thought they were going to do a twist and it was going to be Paul. I knew Reacher and Paulie was going to fight. I knew that. But I thought it was going to be like a twist and maybe Paulie was an agent of Planet and that was going to kind of come out. I thought, okay, maybe they're going that direction. But the fight I thought was good. And you can tell he really looked tired after he got out the water and he was walking. And then he looked behind him and Paulie was there. And he tried to run and he just couldn't go no more. He looked like he was genuinely tired. I like that. I hate that they killed Dad just when him and the son were reconnecting. I hate that they kill him, but I like that they didn't kill the police officer because that would have been too much of a cliche. So I was like, oh, record store day. I don't know, because we were looking like, what is, like,
Yeah.
it's because I don't really get into like the modern records, so I don't
It's
think
kind
I'm
of like
going to
Free
records.
Comic Book Day. We could care less about Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah,
It's just it's just nothing that appeals.
no,
So
I
we don't
mean,
know.
I would go and buy used records, old
Hmm.
records, but new records, no, not unless it's a picture disc. Like I bought the Who picture disc from Best Buy recently.
Yeah.
I got that, and I did get the Dark Side of the Moon 50th anniversary. I got that. But to say, oh, I want a new record of Taylor Swift or somebody, like, no, I ain't about to have it. So no, I'm not saying I'm excited. I did see an article today, and I started to open it to see if they even trying to tell you what's coming out.
Hmm.
But I didn't care enough to look. I guess I should trademark Thunder Kittens.
Yeah. Action says one of the times in which a neighbor sort of took over was with Urkel.
Yeah, because he wasn't supposed to be
Yeah.
a recurring character.
That's not a good show either. I'm sorry.
No.
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, Fonz was a secondary character.
And
Oh,
Tommy met Mr. T at Mardi Gras. He was doing T-Force cartoon, and he gave me a signed comic. Okay.
that's cool.
And
Hey, B Dog, how are you?
and Mr. T's on the autograph circuit now, and I think he's charging $250 an autograph.
We'll have become friends. I thought that was gonna happen. I really did. I thought that's why I said I thought Paulie was they were gonna find out that Paulie was a plant, and him and Reacher would have fought it out, but they would have came to a mutual respect and kind of like a friendship, and he maybe come back. Um, I was kind of hoping for that something like that was gonna happen, but no, that never came up. He was a bad guy through and through, and that's how that was. But
Yeah.
all in all, I mean, the last season I didn't care for because that woman, and I think he made way too many mistakes. It was just the things he was doing, the timeline. He put himself into too much danger. And then the last two episodes, he kind of put his foot down. Was like, look, I really don't care about you and this Teresa. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And he kind of like threw her to the wayside. And I think he should have did that a lot earlier. Are you into jigsaw puzzles?
She has some frame tray puzzles.
Yeah, but like not jigsaw because I don't really put them together. Hey, the guy.
He says King of Toys meets Pixelated Daniel. That's right. One of my new favorite videos. Yeah, we were screwing around a lot at the show. While he had time. When he's at the shows, Pixel Dan's pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I mean, he barely got there. When we got there at 4, and he is just showing up because he got at the airport at 3, I think. And of course, the show went live at 5 o'clock on Friday, so he barely had time. He's real pressed for time. But yeah, we were, the one I put up the video this week.
Yeah.
About our Santa gift exchange, and Santa's right back there. You can't see him. Dan knew what I was talking about because I was like, Santa, and he was like, oh yeah, because I got the store display Santa. my 80s Woolworths.
Yeah, I heard about that.
3-foot store display Santa, and I had something for him that Santa was hanging on to.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it over here this time. So I figured I better bring it to the show. But yeah, we had a good time, and he loves that thing.
Yeah.
The Cookie Monster.
And it was fun talking to him.
Yeah.
Action Joe Fix say Lee Childs was not happy with the casting of Tom Cruise as Reacher. He was too small. I heard that.
The first Reacher film was good.
The second one
was
when that
not.
woman got in there, it got ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't awful, but she felt like she was just in the way and had no purpose.
Yeah, just like the last season. Reacher season 1 was the best one. Season
Yeah.
2 was terrible. And then
Yes.
this last one,
Was
there was a lot of holes in it. And plot
yeah.
wise, there was a lot of holes, made it kind of hard to watch.
That woman didn't help out. But like I said, I think she caused him to be unfocused. A lot of mistakes were made. I don't
Yeah.
like how they did the timeline. They made everything seem like it was a
The
mile
timeline made
away.
no sense. I mean,
Yeah.
because like the one scene, he sneaks out of the window, runs to the back at like a half a mile to the shoreline,
Yeah.
swims in that treacherous shoreline in the middle
For
of the
2 miles.
night, and then comes out to the highway, goes to a warehouse, cleans up a murder scene,
Yeah.
and then makes it back in like 2 hours. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, he just did something that would take like 2 freaking days.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
Yeah. I mean, the last season was unrealistic. I liked the plot.
Yeah.
I thought the plot was really good. So that was fine. It's just that it just felt like, okay, either y'all rushing it because y'all want to put too much in there,
Yeah.
or y'all just didn't care about just making it a little more realistic. Reacher being choked out, never thought I'd see that. Yeah, but Paulie was big though. The guy is 7 foot tall, and he's a bodybuilder. It's worth turning in just to look
tuning
at
in
oh,
just to see the Shoguns. Tommy likes the Shoguns. And again, I'm doing a video on the Godzillas next week.
Oh, okay.
I'll have that up next week.
Okay.
Oh, Johnny said Caustic Plastic has the 6-scale Fonzie with the comb.
Oh.
Yeah, of course he has to have the comb.
The deluxe version comes with a jukebox. I think we showed
that some time ago. I think I remember showing that some time ago. The as opposed to getting the Mego one. You always get the Mego Fonzie. I'd rather have the original 70s Mego Fonzie myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want the modern one. But, that's, what are you going to do?
He says the deluxe versions come with a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker. I guess it looks like a jukebox.
Yeah, he has a little jukebox. Action had an original Godzilla as a kid. Like the rest of my stuff, Mom threw it away. Gosh. Shame. A lot of people have stories like that, though.
I'm happy for my mama because she don't throw nothing away. She's like a little hoarder. She didn't. I mean, she kept my original record, Care Bears record. She didn't know where it was until I found it. Then I told her I was going to take it, and she took it back. No, you can't have it. It has to stay here, and she put it on the shelf. I mean, I took it.
Yeah.
But, I'm like, man, she kept it. That woman, she don't throw nothing away. All of our stuff we had, I mean, our first outfits, the socks, the shoes, she got all that stuff. And she put it in like a little frame and hang it on the wall and thing,
Tommy wants to know what Micronauts. I have very little as far as Micronauts.
We saw a bunch of Micronauts today, though, at the show.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap. And Robert says they want Caustic to do Laverne and Shirley.
Mego did Laverne and Shirley.
I've got the Laverne and Shirley from Mego, Mint in the Box. They are ugly. I don't know if any of you have ever seen them. I can pull them down if you want to see them.
But
some of the ugliest dolls from the 70s.
When they came back out, didn't they redo Laverne and Shirley? When they came back out the second time in the 2000s?
I don't think they did.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they got around to their 12 and a, because those are 12 and a half. The big figures for Migos were 12 and a half inches tall. But I don't think they've remade any of the 12 and a half traditional ones. I know they did Superman, but you know what I mean, especially dolls. Nerd, the mother had a fire in the garden, burned my Ewok village. Wow.
He said he swears that's what happened. She probably will remember it different.
Yeah.
We saw the Sonny and Cher at the show. The $6 Million Man had him. Mm-hmm. He had a bunch of Sonny and Chers.
Yeah, he did.
And he was dressing them and doing all of that.
Yeah.
He once showed me his Vinnie Barbarino.
Oh, Vinnie. He had a comb too, Aaron says. The
No.
that would be the Mattel one. That makes no sense because the Mattel one has a Sunshine Family body, and the hands look like this. They're like karate chop
Mm-hmm.
hands. He has a comb. He can't hold it. He can't hold the comb.
Actually, with my carded Masters of the Universe, I honestly have not bought a figure literally in years. I
Hmm.
would say I haven't bought a carded figure, vintage figure.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say maybe 2 years. I the last time I bought a box figure was a couple of years ago. I think at like Joe Fest or Joe Lanta, Toy Lanta, one of those. But it's been some years since I bought a vintage one. I was buying the Origins vehicles, and that's the last thing I bought. The place I am with the carded figures now, at the expensive ones like King Randor
Yeah.
and some
Scare
of the,
glow.
yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
So yeah, so I honestly, once I got to that point, because I got my list and I was checking them off as I go. And then once I got to the last one that I bought, I was like, okay, well, let me check the prices on these. And once I started seeing those prices, I honestly got discouraged and kind of walked away from it and really haven't turned back. Not saying that I don't want to, I don't hope to get back to it. I honestly just haven't thought about it. And then when I go to shows, if they do have carded figures, it's all the carded figures that I have. When we went to the Toy Land, somebody actually had a lot of them, a lot of carded
Hmm.
figures, and I didn't even look. I mean, I looked at them, but I didn't look with the intention of, oh man, I really want to buy them. I actually kind of was like, oh man, they got a lot of carded figures, and just looking around the booth at the prices and everything else, I talked myself out of it and discouraged myself and just turned away
Yeah.
and didn't even try to look to cut a deal. I didn't do nothing. I just walked off, honestly. Um so yeah, that's what all that to say, that's where I am with my
Yeah.
carded Masters of the Universe
Haven't been
figures.
able to make too much of a move on it.
Yeah, and again, honestly, just kind of forgot about them because, like I said, when I got up to my list and all of the ones that I bought were in my little price range. Now I'm outside of that, and I'm like, you know. So I just haven't really looked anymore.
Robert, the originals are all 5 inches. There was only two that were 12-inch figures, and those are like $5,000 a piece in the box.
No, he want to know if you got the 1/6 scale figures like the Mondo ones, which you do have.
No, I don't have the Mondos.
You don't have the Mondo Masters of the Universe.
Nope,
Oh, you got rid of them
I
all?
got rid of all of them. Remember, they
Oh,
were falling apart.
I didn't. I know you said you
Yeah,
was. I didn't know you really didn't.
yeah, they're
Oh,
falling apart. I just didn't
wow.
want to deal with it anymore. It's a shame,
Oh,
really.
wow.
There's the quality was just so bad. It was so freaking bad.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said it. And usually when you say you're going to get rid of something, you do, but
Hmm.
I never really believe you will. Because I'm not going to do nothing.
Vintage stuff, I'm not moving, but modern stuff, if it pisses me off, I don't care. Because it's not like it can't be replaced and for less. At some point, because most of it doesn't gain any value. But I
Oh,
was just like,
wow.
nah, I can't. This stuff's falling apart. It's crazy. It's not even that old.
Oh, wow.
Um,
I'm surprised.
yeah,
Well, I mean, that's your stuff. Whatever. No, I never go to the art vendor hall. I mean, I go and I'll film, but
yeah.
I've never bought anything. Um, yeah, I've never bought anything. I think I looked at a couple of prices one time. I talked to a vendor once to do a commission on a painting of me and David
Hmm.
because we wanted like a we have a picture that we saw that we would like somebody to paint of us.
Mm-hmm.
Then I saw the stuff the person did, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't really like that. Once you start flipping through the book, pretty good. I ain't like what they do, so no. I've only ever bought fan art one time.
And then V Dog wants to know if anybody's getting the Four Horsemen Studios Dragon. What is that thing, like $500?
That thing was
It's expensive.
nice.
It is nice,
It,
but
but
I
it's
don't have any Four Horsemen anyway.
no, I don't have
Yeah.
any either. But it's not gonna look good outside of that case.
Uh-huh.
You gotta have that case, you gotta have some lighting on it. It has to be dark, and then some pop up lights and all of that.
You would need a lot, and it looks like it
It
would be
looks
tough. It looks like
nice.
it would be hard to work with, honestly, but it does look good because
Well,
it's it's a big, chunky, articulated thing, and it's heavy. Yeah, I think it'd be weird.
once you
But
put it in place, is all right. You just got to have the place to put it,
yeah,
and you got to have that case, because if you have that out and about, open air like this right here, and somebody bump into that or bump on the table and that wing fall off, you're gonna have a heart attack and drop dead. So I don't know. I liked it. It looked great. I don't buy stuff like that, but it looks really nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nerd used to be a
Oh,
pawnbroker.
really?
He says, "Don't let emotions become involved making a deal, and act
Yeah.
like you're disinterested." Mondo said they all fell apart. What trash figures, high end my ass. Yeah, they were not doing well. They
Hey,
were.
Fabio.
Fabio is here. Yeah, they weren't doing well, and I just got sick of it. And I could see the writing on the wall that it was just going to keep getting worse. And I was like, no, let me just move these along.
He said that on the video. Oh my God. I didn't know he said that out loud on a live stream or on a video.
Yeah.
I know he told me, and I remember him touching them and moving them, but
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention because I didn't believe he was going to actually do it. I'm surprised you have the Mondo Batman figures. Yeah, they seem kind of easy. Mine's still in the box.
Yeah, hers is still in the box.
I mean,
also, those don't have any soft goods, so there's no colors bleeding or anything else going on.
They only start with the comics.
Transformers Generation 2 links, it says. I'm not sure.
What do you mean Generation 2? What does that mean?
Isn't that like after the film?
Oh.
G2?
I don't know.
I think that's the series from after the movie when Rodimus became Prime.
Yeah.
And then the cartoon got really weird.
Yeah, I stopped watching. I watched the whole Generation 1 cartoon, and that started getting kind of tiresome. But I finished that, and then we got to Generation 2, and then the first episode, I think I watched like 5 minutes, and I just
I actually almost kind of failed to see the appeal, because watching the original Transformers cartoon is tedious.
It is,
especially the first season. This choppy animation. There's inconsistent animation. There's like people disappear and reappear, or the wrong voice for the character, or somebody leaves and then he's still there. Things like that are happening. There's bad motion. The music was bad. Eventually they borrowed the music from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
But before that, the music was just awful. And then the dialogue is really primitive. On G.I. Joe, only the hero's dialogue was primitive. If you're paying attention to the Sunbow G.I. Joe show, if you listen to the Joes talk, they sound primitive. If you listen to the Cobras talk, they actually their language sounds very sophisticated. The structure of it is entirely different. On the Transformers, everybody's dialogue is primitive. And then what's his name? Not Sparkplug. Sparkplug was the dad. What's the kid's name?
The I don't know what
Yeah.
that boy name was. Aaron or something. I don't know what his name was.
Aaron.
I don't know what his name was.
I'm trying to remember because I know it was Sparkplug and
Spike.
Spike.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you,
Spike.
display
Spike. Thank you,
name.
display
Spike.
name. All he did was scream. Pay attention. All Optimus, Bumblebee. All he does is scream through the whole show. It's like there's. I'm like, God, this is awful. This is awful.
And he's always getting caught.
Yeah.
V-Dog wants to know what are those big green things behind you and why you got so many of them. I know he only needs one.
Those are Godzillas. Those are the Shogun Warriors Godzillas. And there's 3 of them because they are all different. They're all different.
Oh,
this
boy.
is 1978, 1979, and 1980 from Mattel. And they are all different. And that's what I was saying earlier. I've got a video going up next week that's going to explain the differences between the 3.
Because you did the differences between the Mazingers.
Yeah, I did these 3. Those are the Mazingers.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the differences a lot easier here. And that's actually called Great Mazinger. These 2 on the box, it just says Mazinger. This one says Great Mazinger.
Hey, David. He said he would rather watch Rocket Robin Hood
before he watches Transformers or Raw Joe. Some of the Raw Joe ones are good. If it's the
5-parters
or the 2-parter, even like the big 2-part one was No Place Like Springfield.
Yeah, that one was good.
That was like a horror movie.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
That one wasn't for kids.
No, but a lot of the Joe, some of the Joe episodes weren't so great. They were pretty goofy. Some of them were well written. It was a flip up. Robert says, keep in mind Optimus is 50 feet tall. Had to talk normally to a 50-foot robot. No, they couldn't be consistent with sizes either. Because 1 minute somebody's this big, next minute he's this big. 1 minute Bumblebee is the same height as Spike. Then he's like 20 feet tall. They weren't even consistent with their physiology.
What's your favorite Godzilla of the 3?
Probably the first one.
Which one is that?
Oh, right here, 1978.
Oh, why?
Because he's different.
What's different? Oh, he's darker or brighter.
He's actually brighter.
This one right here looks dark and kind of faded out, and this one right here looks like
the first one
middle.
is a lot brighter.
Yeah, he is
actually, and he's got better paint apps. Munin says big difference between the 3 is the switch on the back. There is a difference in the switch.
David gonna go through all of that.
And they yes, Aaron, they all still have the launching fist and they all work.
Yeah.
And they were all an adaptation of the original Gojira from Popey, which looks nothing like this. If I don't have a Popey version, if I did, you wouldn't think they were even related. I think the only thing Mattel kept, because they changed everybody from the Popey versions, but the Godzilla, I think, was one of the ones they changed the most. I think the only thing they kept were the arms. Everything else was retooled.
David doesn't have any Transformers figures. Generation 1 or any other.
Yeah, I've got a Takara transforming watch, but that's G0. That's 1974. And I do have one carded Transformers figure. It's the tank.
Oh yeah, that itty bitty card.
I have the tank.
Nerd will take any one of them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. They're great toys. The guy says, I mean, Megatron was the size of a 2-story building that transformed into a P-38, and then you could hold him. And then Optimus had transformed. Where the hell did the trailer go? I don't know. It just flies off somewhere, and then when he transforms again, bam, here it is.
But you know what was funny? When Optimus had got hurt and couldn't drive, and so he had to be towed. And the guy was like, okay, I'll tow you. So he was like, okay, transform without trailer. So then the trailer didn't come.
Yeah. From where?
But then another thing that made me that I found weird. Okay, I'm guessing they were somewhere in America, right? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, that's
But then
right.
they will always
Autobots
go.
roll out.
Yeah, but they will always go overseas.
Yeah.
And they were driving, and it's like, how did
They
you
would
get there?
transform, and then like 10 minutes later, they're in Japan.
And it's like,
And it's
how
like,
did you get there?
well, the bridge. There must be a bridge to Japan. It's just
I actually have okay, I believe
he says his says 77. That's the if there's a
okay.
date on it, it's the copyright from the Popey that was
Okay.
copied from the Japanese market. But the reason that he's shorter is because the Jumbo Machinders are closer copies to the ones that were made by Popey, but they wanted to have a monster type villain, so they adopted the Jumbo, what do they call them? Jumbosaurus is the translation from the Popey series, so they could have a monster for them to fight, and it ended up being Godzilla. But the retooling, it didn't work out because that figure was much smaller because it wasn't part of a Jumbo Machinder series.
David said that the Japanese cartoon was far more superior than what we got here in the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah. And Gilgamesh said Transformers are billion-year-old super advanced alien robots. I figured the technology advanced enough would be indistinguishable to magic. Yeah, but if they were billion-year-old brilliant robots, then they shouldn't talk like toddlers in kindergarten either.
They found a wormhole. But the part that I couldn't understand, and I brought this up a lot, okay, they got to Earth, they crash landed, they couldn't get back to Cybertron. But then Megatron made a space bridge to get back to Cybertron. So
and
why
they won't leave.
Yeah, so why didn't he just go back?
Yeah, steal energy. Do that in some other planet. What do you got to do it on Earth for?
Yeah, and then he's stealing energy. And what are you doing with the energy? You're sending it to Cybertron, but you're not there. So it was like, what are you doing? Why don't y'all just go back? Now that you have a way to get back, go back. Because y'all are the problem.
Display says they could randomly fly when necessary. Only in the original 5-part miniseries. They all flew. And then for some reason, Autobots couldn't do it anymore for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and then they got the Autobots that could fly. They transform into airplanes.
Yes.
Aerial bots.
Aerial bots.
They actually explained what happened to the trailer. Roller would hook up the trailer and ride. Oh, really?
Robert says. You never saw it happen.
No, it just disappeared. But how did it get to him? Because you would see him transform, and then the trailer would just appear. It was just like, boom, just fly in.
Lynx wants to know which Voltron show was better. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I actually have the box set, and we got it lined up to watch at some point in the near future. So I couldn't tell you an opinion on it just yet.
Oh, you like the DreamWorks?
Yeah. Richard said Rodan is expensive. Third monster was supposed to be Mothra. Yeah, the Rodan is expensive and it's fragile. It tends to break. I don't have a Rodan.
David said DreamWorks Voltron is an abomination.
No. Oh no. It needs to be burned outside the camp.
Kim Munin says Gundam is vastly superior than Transformers. I blame quantum physics.
Exactly.
Yeah, something.
B-Dog wants to know if we play RPGs. I used to. I haven't for a long time because I have a lot of vintage video game consoles going from Atari all the way up to Xbox 360. And I have played RPGs on the Xbox 360. But mostly I'm more interested in the vintage games like Sega Genesis and the Nintendo NES. But I haven't played any modern ones. I haven't played any games in a long time, like Skyrim, stuff like that. I would play on the Xbox 360. Frankenfrog wants to know what he missed.
You missed a
Everything.
lot.
You missed a lot.
So you got to go back and rewatch.
Watch it again. It will be available.
We actually did talk about a lot, and we showed our pickups for today because we went to
the show
Retro Toy
Toy
Swap, and we picked up a few things. So we showed that.
Not as big as a haul as last time because I found some real amazing weird stuff last time. This time it was a lot tamer.
Robert said Gundam was way too
confusing. And I did get Peter Cottontail.
Oh my God, he's still showing that.
That's right. I'm still showing this because this is amazing. It's my blow mold Peter Cottontail because it's so clean. It's like brand new.
It still can use some more.
Yeah. Okay.
You get some bleach and
Give me my eggs.
You get some bleach and Comet. And you mix it together with that toothbrush, and you can get up in them fine grooves.
He's not dirty.
Dirty
He's
enough.
Really not. He looks great. He looks great. I was thrilled. Vintage blow mold stuff is hard to come by.
I guess when you're a kid and they make cartoons, they think, okay, they're not going to wonder all of these things.
Yeah.
So that's never going to be a question. So don't worry about it.
It depends on who does it. Like when you watched the 1979 or 1978 filmation Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
That was sophisticated writing.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
Yes.
But then you watch Filmation Black Star. That's hard to watch. We just finished Black Star. Oh man, I can tell you. First of all, there's way too many characters. You can't keep track of them. You don't know who the hell is who.
No, you don't.
Except for Black Star
and Mira,
who for some reason has no nipples and runs around shirtless with no nipples at all, and has his power sword that he basically just stands there and holds and looks around and doesn't ever use the damn thing.
Hey, Stone Sour.
Stone Sour made a kitty donation. Thank you, Stone Sour. All the help we can get for our feline friends. We appreciate it. They they rush through the plot to get to the end of the show.
Yes.
But then everybody moves so slow. I mean, you got Overlord and Black Star standing there facing each other, and you hear dramatic music, and they're standing there, and they're moving and standing and looking and moving and standing. Do something. Freaking do something.
It's 3 of them.
Three. Those are all 3 Hercules. Is it Hercules? Yeah, all 3 U.S. versions. 1978, 1979, and 1980. Gilgamesh says they weren't really making cartoons, half-hour toy commercials.
Yeah, and you're right about that.
In many regards, that's what it was.
You're right about that.
But Black Star, the motion, it was well drawn, but the story was crap. And it was absolute crap. And then you look at something like the Flash Gordon. Season 1 was a masterpiece.
Yeah, it was great.
Like watching an original 40s serial. And then Masters of the Universe was better than Black Star.
Yeah,
for sure,
was.
But still.
But you could tell the animation and the music style.
Yeah. I watched it as a kid and I thought it was great, but watching it as an adult, it's like, wow, this is dull. I mean, it's just what happened. It's the same thing that Trobits or whatever the hell would get in trouble. Black Star would come to bail him out.
Yeah.
He'd screw it up.
Yeah.
And then Mara would come and bail him out.
Yeah.
And then he'd have a face-off at the end with Overlord, where they would stand there and stare at each other for like the last 5 minutes of the show. And that's basically every episode in a nutshell.
That is true.
And then they'd have their little pun at the end where the guy who's mute would do something silly that really wasn't funny, that was kind of dumb. And it's like, oh God, this is every freaking episode. You got to be kidding me.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Robert says you have the tin sets of Lion Force Voltron. You're planning on getting the vehicle tin sets. No, I've got the DVD sets, the steel box, and they are the ones that are embossed.
Okay.
I'd like to get an original set of Voltron toys.
Somebody had a set of Star Blazers on VCR tape.
Oh, he did.
Sealed.
He had seasons 2 and 3
Yeah.
on VHS, and it was a sealed pack at the
Hmm.
show today. It was tempting, but
David says Gundam 0079, the 1 Year War, was the best series.
okay. And they're still talking about Gundam in there.
Where does it
Gundam.
start?
I don't know too much about the Gundam, so I don't want to say much.
Yeah, the sword was plain.
Yeah.
It didn't have any powers.
Well,
Like
it did, but it's not
all
like
it did was deflect when
and he could shoot a beam with it.
yeah,
but
that's all it
and
did.
it would change shape. One minute it's like massive, and then it's small, and it's like it kept changing shape. Like the drawing was inconsistent. Guy says, I want to know why no toy companies are doing Hanna-Barbera. I'd love to see some vintage Johnny Quest figures. Yeah, that would be cool. Probably the same. It's licensing, because Hanna-Barbera wants a damn fortune now for their stuff. The same reason why Sid and Marty Krofft doesn't come up too often, because people have been screaming for Sleestack figures from Land of the Lost since the 70s. They won't freaking do it because Sid and Marty Krofft wants a damn fortune. I think Toy Island is as far as they got that made 4 figures. I have the set. And they couldn't produce anymore because they just couldn't negotiate with Sid and Marty Krofft anymore. It's a shame. I have Richard mentioned Thundar the Barbarian. I have that on disc. We haven't opened it yet.
Just like every single Voltron episode would be solved with a blazing sword.
Says Aaron. That's how they should have started. That's how they should have started. That's just pull the sword out and get it over with.
Machine Man is old. He likes these other two shows.
And Dogram better than Gundam.
Oh, okay. I don't know none of them.
I like Star Blazers.
I saw Star Blazers. I like the first one with Lita Deathlock. Lita Deathlock.
The first 2 seasons are really good. The third season's okay, but it doesn't feel like the first 2.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have the same voice actors. But the first 2 seasons go together much better. The original Star Blazers and then Comet Empire. But the third season, I wasn't feeling it.
Okay, there's some free Gundams on YouTube, he says.
And then like Battle of the Planets, aka what was it? G-Force. Gatchaman. There's a bunch of different names.
They make modern Looney Tunes figures. Doesn't
Frankenfrog, you can find the original 70s Dakin ones, which are some of the best that have ever been made for very little. Especially if you don't mind getting them loose, you can pick them up for a song. And I've shown them before. I'll just pull one out real quick here. But
Gundam Wing. If it's like Star Blazers, I'll like it. But if it's like that modern anime, I don't know about all that. And I've got
the Robotech on disc, and like these are from the 70s. They're
let me move this out there.
12 scale mixed media, made in the 70s. These are still in the bags, but you can 5 points of articulation. It is an action figure, but in the bag there were a little more, but
they ain't that much more.
Yeah, they're not. And loose, they're dirt cheap. There's a couple of anomalies, like I know that Pepe Le Pew can be expensive. The most part, even sealed like this, you can probably get a lot of them for like $50. Or loose, they're a lot less than that even. This is better than anything you're going to find modern for Looney Tunes. I mean, he's wearing real clothes.
Yeah.
He's fully jointed. That's pretty cool.
Gundam Wing has a movie called Endless Waltz. Amazing films. Have you ever seen the new Tron trailer, David?
I did not see the trailer for the third Tron.
Okay,
the second Tron wasn't that great. The first one's brilliant. The second one, not so great.
Battle of the Planets, aka
Science Ninja Team. Yeah, they had a bunch of different names.
Okay.
Lynx watched a remake of Star Blazers on Funimation. Don't know how they the both seasons are in Crunchyroll. they said.
Okay. They did a remake of Star Blazers?
Did they?
That's what he said.
I
He
know
saw
there's
the
a
remake.
live. I know there's
See,
a.
I watched the remake.
I know there's a live action. There is a live action
Of Star Blazers? I don't think I want to see that.
And Robert was like, "Yeah, the Dakin also made the Popeye, which I showed last time."
Yeah.
And yeah, Aaron, Robotech Macross tied into Harmony Gold. But so yeah, I've got the old '80s Robotech. They're making a third Tron, Johnny. Yeah.
Is that a live action or a cartoon?
Live action Tron.
Oh boy.
The original one is an '80s classic. They had a second film that was connected to the first film. It was okay. Could have been a lot better. But I don't know how they're going to do a third one, or if I even want to see it, because I'm so disappointed with most modern cinema. It's like I don't even care. Yeah. Oh, there's a new Tron coming out. Meh, I'll go watch the first one.
You know what I was disappointed about? What I am disappointed about? The second Batman is pushed all the way back to 2029. I was honestly looking forward to that because I liked the first one. And but then they kept talking about who the villain is going to be, and every time they came out, it was another villain, and
they
it's
keep
like
adding. We don't need like 10 villains.
Yeah,
it's too
just
much.
put one villain. Yeah. You don't need, at the max two, because like in the first one, you had Penguin, and he wasn't really a villain yet, and you had Marcone. You had him, but the
Catwoman.
Yeah, but she's never really been a villain per se. But your main villain was the Riddler.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the main villain, and you had these other two side villains who weren't really like villains. You know what I mean? But then they talked about having Captain Freeze, Mr. Freeze. They talked about Clayface, and I'm like, okay, it's going to become fanciful and all of that. It's just going to get really dumb and stupid. So I wish they just, I don't know. They say they're going to, rewrite it. Like,
and that's
all
a
the
bad
way from
sign.
the beginning.
That's a bad sign right there.
So
anytime they start like rewriting or reshooting anything, it's pretty much freaking doomed. So
well, they might rewrite it and it gets better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
I'm
about
just
that.
Like,
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Because I don't trust that at all.
Yeah.
I don't trust that at all.
I don't know. But
yeah, Johnny says it's not worth it if Jeff Bridges isn't in it. Yeah, because he was in the other two.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's really good. Still got that legendary iconic theme. Beautiful
Lynx
theme.
likes it.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nostalgic thinks Tron 3 will be disappointing. I just assume it will be, and then please surprise me, is my attitude about it. Which I have not been surprised yet.
I don't think there's going to be a Joker 3.
I think they absolutely killed and buried that with the second one.
Yeah. I mean, if there were going to be a 3, I wouldn't be excited about it. I wouldn't see it. I probably
The third one, it's going to be translated through interpretive dance.
Oh, God, don't say that. I wouldn't go to the theater to see it. I would look at the trailer, and I would honestly watch reviews and then decide if I would want to see it on DVD.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't invest in another Joker film. I would not invest. There might be, Batman Beyond. Please, I don't know.
Batman Beyond, 2029. Yeah, I never saw the live action Battleship Yamato links. I never saw it. Munin wants to see Sonic 4.
Oh,
it's the only franchise that's been doing good in sequels. There you go. I don't know. Sonic.
I'm just tired of modern TV shows.
We watch very little modern. Now, you all know anyways. We primarily watch vintage TV shows and older films
Yeah.
because that just fits better. And people make the argument, same as with music, and I can dispel that argument immediately. That because I've heard this argument made for music and
Mhm.
for television.
Mhm.
Okay, oh well, you're old. You know, this is the people, the modern music. It's because it's for a younger generation, and that's the generation of music that they like. And you have your generation of music. Well, if you're telling me that, then I could only be interested in 80s music, right?
Mhm.
Because that's when I was listening to music growing up. But that's not true. I
Mhm.
listen to 90s. I listen to some 2000s music,
Yeah.
70s, 60s, 50s, even
I don't know
40s.
about them 40s.
So there's some 40s doo wop that's okay. You
Yeah.
know, that you see what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
that was the case, I have my 80s blinders on and I wouldn't be able to tolerate music from any other generation.
Yeah.
It's just not true. We couldn't sit there and enjoy a film from the last 20 years. We would only be able to watch 80s movies.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to enjoy films from the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, even silent era, uh, because the problem is the modern music and the modern writing on the TV shows and even the comics and the films and everything else is just
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah.
Richard, yeah, mime, that would work.
Oh God. Then they have translation at the bottom, and you have to read.
But the translation would be sign language.
Oh my God.
They have the little circle in the corner.
With the guy doing all. Oh jeez. I have the set of Battle of the Planets figures made by Diamond
Diamond Select.
Select.
Seven
Got
Zark 7.
okay. 3D printed to scale along with a scale 1 Rover 1.
Okay.
Hey Paul.
Paul's here. Says good evening.
How you doing?
Gilgamesh says age doesn't matter. I love new music from other countries. It's just new American music that's trash.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that theory blows right out of the water because then you wouldn't have people that listen to multiple genres or multiple decades of music.
Mm-hmm.
They would have blinders on, like you're suggesting, and that just doesn't make sense. It's people that are creatively bankrupt or that don't care. They only see it as a franchise and they see it as just the financial value of that franchise without investigating it to see what makes it a cultural phenomenon in the first place. Something I've talked about a lot, especially, okay, Star Wars. And Disney's like, ka-ching, dollar signs in their eyes. And it's like, no, that was a cultural phenomenon, Star Wars. If you investigate what made it that, you might can recapture a piece of it and present it to your audience. But that's not what you're doing. You're just like, hey, let's just do anything and throw Star Wars on it, and people will suck it up. No, it doesn't work. But for some reason, they keep repeating that formula, and it keeps failing, and they don't understand why. You can take a vintage franchise and make it work, and we've talked about that with Cobra Kai. They looked at it. How can we kind of pick this back up with the original people, with the original feel, and we'll listen to the fans, which they did. What about the movie stood out to you? And we'll try to work with that. Like a lot of people suggested that Ralph Macchio's Daniel Fig character was really the antagonist, that he started a lot of the mess, and they rolled with that in the new series. It worked.
But the thing with that, since you use Cobra Kai, the people that played in the movie had something to do with the show. Like they say now with the Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies, they hire people, writers, directors that are not into it at all. They don't want you to be into it. So you getting a person that's not into it, and you say, write a movie, direct a movie, produce a movie, act in a movie. that you have no connection, no feeling. At least with Cobra Kai, the characters that played in the movie, the original and all of the ones after that, are actually in it. And then they probably did a survey or all through the years on Facebook and Twitter and everything. People said, "Man, I hate it when um the boy did this or this happened, and what about that character? What happened here? What happened there?" Then they said, "Okay, now let's take all of that and answer it in the TV show." But we're invested because we actually played in it. But some, I can't remember what movie it was. Well, it was a bunch. I remember them saying when they hired the writers, they didn't want you to be in that
Yeah,
into it.
they had the guy from the Marvel doing one of the Marvel films, and he hated Marvel. It's like, why?
Yeah, why
Why
would
is
you
this the guy
hire?
you would pick?
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's pick somebody that could care less, could that hates this, and
Hmm.
say write a movie. Why would you think that would be good?
Yeah, it doesn't make
Why
any
do you
sense.
think that would be just amazing? You know, like, oh man, everybody likes this. This person really
And
hate the
then
movie.
Disney brought back legacy characters
Mm-hmm.
to kill them all, because they brought back they started off with a cameo here and a cameo there of original Star Wars characters, and they all die. So it's like, okay, that's not what people want. People didn't want whatever it is that they tried to do with the new Star Wars films. They wanted Dark Empire from Dark Horse Comics is what they wanted.
Mm.
Um, didn't get it. They didn't get it. Yeah, I heard Liam Neeson is doing the Naked Gun remakes.
See, why are they remaking Naked Gun? Naked Gun was hilarious.
Make something else, because
Yeah,
that's part of a series. It's connected to Airplane, and there's a
yeah,
bunch of films that were done like that. There was a war film that was done like that. It looks like it's set in World War II.
yeah. There's a new Karate Kid coming out with Ralph
And I
Macchio,
don't
Jackie
understand that though.
Chan.
I don't understand that. I
Yeah,
heard that though.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I didn't see the Inspector Gadget. I haven't watched Inspector Gadget since I was a kid. I haven't seen any of the movies
The live action film.
or the live action, the remakes
Oh
of it,
God.
of the cartoon.
The
I never
toys
saw
from
it.
France from the 80s are insanely expensive.
No, we
You'll pay
didn't.
like 2,000 for a vehicle.
Really?
Yeah.
Johnny just watched the trailer for Tron 3. It looks promising.
Appearances are deceiving.
Well, you know they're only going to show you the best parts, the
Yeah.
parts that's going to grab you and make you want to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a break from Star Wars, Marvel, DC? Too many great IPs ignored.
Why? So they can ruin those too? Like they're
Yeah.
about to ruin James Bond?
Mm.
Like well, Doctor Who's been dead for a while, but they've really killed it recently. Even the actor quit. The lead actor quit. He's like, I can't do this.
Oh yeah, Gaston's
Oh.
Collector-Con. I've been
Oh.
selling toys since the 90s and collectible. We had that on our
That's
roundup.
Kip here.
Yeah.
We just announced it. We just added it to our weekly roundup yesterday.
So we got it in there, and we said we were gonna come because I don't know if I was
Excuse me.
talking to you at Toy Lanta, but I was talking to somebody, and I for some reason I thought Gaston was in Tennessee. I don't know why. But they were like, no, it's in Alabama and it's only like an hour and a half away. So that might be something that we come to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Liam Neeson is like 100 years old.
He was like he's like 146.
He's
Liam
old.
Neeson. He's I like him.
Yeah.
I like him in Darkman.
We saw Darkman recently. Yeah.
That was funny. That's classic 90s, classic 90s film right there.
But isn't Leslie Nielsen still alive?
No, he's gone.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he's passed away a while ago. There is 3 Darkman films, but the parts 2 and 3 are terrible.
Oh, really?
And Liam Neeson isn't even in them. But
yeah, we saw Darkman.
Yeah, we saw Darkman. That was pretty. It was fun. It was just
Okay.
fun, goofy '80s movie. Like they did, like the Phantom when they brought the Phantom, tried to
Oh, okay.
rekindle the Phantom, or when they did the Shadow is another
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
that the Kenner figures are based on. Just a weird '90s film.
Yeah, but those were shows or movies that wasn't done before. You know what I mean? They were okay. Like they had they had like shadow little movies, and
Mhm.
because we watched them, and I'm
Those are
like,
bad.
those are
The ones
awful.
from the early '40s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are awful. But I'm talking about like Star Wars is like a franchise that's been done. Indiana Jones is like this big deal.
And
You
just let
know,
it die.
yeah, just
Sometimes you should just, like somebody had mentioned earlier, they're trying to bring the Flintstones back again.
for what?
Let it die.
Just
No,
let it be done
nobody
with.
has successfully resurrected the Flintstones. It was an adult, uh, it was an adult cartoon in from the early '60s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what, late '50s, early '60s. It was meant for primetime television for an adult audience, like The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was recast in reruns, dumbed down with like smoking and alcohol scenes removed, uh, so that a younger audience could watch it after school. And they tried to bring it back. They had the Flintstone kids, they had Flintstone
Yeah.
teenagers, Saturday morning cartoons that were awful. They tried the live action movie with John Goodman, and somehow got two films out of it, and they were bad.
Wow.
Stop. Sometimes just let it be what it was. You know what good Tom and Jerry there is? The original movie serials.
Okay.
That's the good ones, not the '80s remake Tom and Jerry and Friends.
Uh,
The original serial Popeyes,
mm-hmm.
not the CBS Saturday morning Popeye from the '80s, which is garbage. Um, Sometimes you just need to let that stuff
Yeah,
go.
you just need to let sleeping dogs lie. Okay, so I didn't meet you. Okay. I
Okay.
spoke to somebody at
Excuse
Toylanta, and
me.
they were telling me about
Gadsden.
Gaston, and to make sure that we come out there. So okay, maybe the new. I don't know.
I don't know either. But sometimes I think these shows are just better left as they are in the past. They try
Yeah.
to bring them back and they just screw them up.
But like we said before, and we've said it countless times, we said about music, about toys, about movies and TV shows. They're creatively bankrupt. They don't have a creative idea in their mind. So then they latch on to what's been done and try to redo it. Not to even redo it to make it better or to explain or to expound more. It's just, oh, we don't have an idea, even though these people have all of these letters behind their names. They say they went to school for creative writing and to be a producer and a director, even though they can't do any of that. Nothing they have done showed us that they should be paid what they're paid to get to do this. We're going to hire them, and they're going to just throw up a movie that's already been done really good 50 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but then we're going to tweak it a little bit and make it bad, because we're going to modernize it, and we're going to use some modern slang and modern technology, and we're going to twist it up, and instead of the main character being a man, we're going to make him a woman. Instead of them being white, we're going to make them black, and we're gonna do all of these extra
And
stuff,
that's how they make it different,
and that's how we make it better.
instead of using like good writing, for example.
Yeah. So you went to school and got, let's say, a bachelor's degree. So you went to school for 4 years for creative writing, because I'm gonna be a film writer, a TV writer, or something. I'm gonna write
Yeah.
stuff. But you can't string a paragraph together.
Yeah.
But somebody is going
Unfortunately.
to pay you thousands of dollars to write a movie strip that sounds like a third grade book. You can do better just acting out Dick and Jane books.
Don't tempt them.
I mean, just use the words word for word. Just use Dick and Jane and have the actors recite that and act it out and be done with it, because the dialogue will be better than that
Johnny
garbage.
said the Land of the Lost movie sucked. They tried to make it into a comedy, and the original Land of the Lost was not. It was one of the few examples of a drama done by Sid and Marty Krofft. So, what do you mean? And Johnny said, redo it. You mean like Snow White? Yeah. It'll be so much better.
Yeah, because we're gonna take out everything that made the original good. We're gonna take all that away, and we're gonna use modern animation, modern technology called CGI. Because God forbid we hire a midget, 7 little midgets, to play the dwarfs. We won't do that because oh Lord, so this is what we're gonna do. The only thing they didn't do in the movie is change the color of the people. That's about it. But other than that, it was awful. I mean,
yeah,
you may as well just put that stamp on it and make Snow White black. And
I don't want to see the new one, Robert.
What?
Snow White.
No,
that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. I'll watch the original.
Yeah,
but I don't want to see any remakes, any reimaginings, whatever. The original is classic enough. I think the original is classic enough. Yeah. The way that it was done, so much effort went into it. Some of the framing on that is 28 cells deep to give it depth. Nobody's going to put that kind of effort into a modern film.
The bottom line is all about getting rich. Everyone seems to think that is enough.
And then they don't get rich and they don't learn.
Yeah, they don't get rich because, okay, the studio paid you. Okay, let's take, for example, Snow White. I think they said it was $400 million all in.
Yeah.
So the writers got $100,000. You wrote this and it was awful. You got your $100,000, but they're not going to ask you to write nothing else. So are you getting rich?
Somebody's got to get blamed.
Yeah.
Besides the viewers.
Yeah. Well, you just don't know what creative writing is. You're just, old fashioned and this and that.
I guess everybody is because nobody wants
it's just
to
that
see
we don't want garbage. That's what that is. The $6 million Man and Bionic Woman reunion TV movies were never as good as the original series.
They were worn out by then.
They probably were already nostalgic. 90 years old when they played the parts.
And they still showing up together doing autographs.
But the sad part about that, looking at K. Muniz's thing, the people in college, they say they can't read, and if you can't read, you can't write.
You write? Yeah, that's there was a big story about that.
Yeah.
Harvard University professors, alumnus professors who have been there for like 30, 40 years, that there's this huge trend now where they can't get through a book. We got students graduating who have never gotten through a book in the school, which was never allowed before.
7 little midgets.
Yeah, I know. That sounds like a porn.
But I mean, okay. So how do
White,
you...
the 7 midgets.
How do you go to Harvard University, an Ivy League school, supposedly one of the best in the United States? We're not going to even say the world. We're going to say the United States. It costs the most. And you can't read and write when you get there. I thought you're supposed to take the SATs before. Hey, Dr. Cohen, I thought you're supposed to take the SATs before you go to college.
Cohen wanted to know if there was any Knickerbocker or Lord of the Rings. I thought I saw a couple of loose pieces, but otherwise, no, at the Toylanta. But yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
That was a great show. And Joe Lanta should be pretty good too.
Yeah.
And but of course, it'll be heavier on G.I. Joe. But we'll be hearing more about that in the near future because they're already working on setting it up.
Yeah, that's right, Johnny. That's like the student saying, "You don't understand my paper. I don't need an F."
Yeah, but that'll work nowadays.
Yeah, it will.
It'll work.
Yeah.
Interpretive paper. I interpret this blank sheet as being correct. Munin says people coming out of college unable to read or do math is horrifying. Some of these dumb kids are becoming doctors and politicians. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's I don't like the doctor. I won't go to a doctor. Johnny wants to know how deep in the barrel are we going with the Snow White and the Snow White. It's Ho White and the Seven Midgets. Ho White.
Oh man.
Anyways, Bunny says it's time to sign off. There's Peter, my Peter Cottontail again. It's time to sign off. We got to get dinner. We're behind. We're way behind schedule.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start signing off. Well, a special thanks to Pastor Rick and to Stone Sour for making donations to our feline fund today to help us out with our shelter cats. Always appreciate it. It's a big deal to us every bit. Thank you everybody else for joining us this evening. Again, we went to the retro toy swap this morning, so you can catch that video. It's, of course, it's saved. If you didn't see it, it's interesting. And of course, the Toylanta videos we put up, the one we did with Pixel Dan, and then next week I do have a review on the Shogun Godzillas that'll be coming up. So thank you everybody for joining us here this evening. Hope you had a good time, and we will try to do this again sometime soon.